All right, here we go. Here we go. Let's check everything. Yeah. We are good. We're live. We're live. This is April. Well, let's talk about April. Let's talk about it with April. Each and every Tuesday, Eastern Standard Time. This evening, I have an artist. Yet again, I get quite a few artists, just so you know. I get quite a few artists. Don't mind me. I just get real excited and a little, bubble gut at the same time, right? I get a little nervous too.
Yeah,
I just don't take the opportunity lightly, and I just like to make sure that I'm, sharing your story as you see fit, right? Right. And so we're gonna give you an opportunity to introduce yourself. I know you a little bit, and you go as Tygo, correct?
yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And you were referred to and who has sponsored this episode. I'm trying to make sure I'm being very mindful of that. Live on the air, like I will post it, but a lot of times I do neglect to mention the one that sponsors this episode. So I want to give a shout out to C Dot.
Shout out to C Dot.
Yeah, shout out to C Dot. Definitely appreciate him sponsoring you for this interview. I'm gonna go ahead and let you introduce yourself to those that may or may not know you.
Yeah, my name is Tygo, Tygo. You know what I'm saying? I'm a music artist, I'm a business entrepreneur, and just all around a creative, anywhere that I see fit where I can implement myself and contribute to the culture, that's what we do. My brand is We the Culture. You know what I'm saying? It's a business I've been building up since COVID. So yeah, just all around, you know what I'm saying, mogul, entrepreneurship, all of that, you know what I'm saying, everything that entails within the entertainment industry. That's where you'll see me at. But as an artist, TYGO, and yeah, that's pretty much me.
Cool, cool. So where were you born and raised?
Yes, I was born in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Shout out Big
Oh,
Jers, you know what I'm
okay.
saying? All my people up top. I moved to Virginia, Richmond, Virginia to be exact, when I was about 9, 10 years old, somewhere around there. And I would spend my summers back in New Jersey. So I'll be back and forth from north to the south, pretty much my entire life.
Okay.
So you can kind of tell from the culture shock of me initially moving to the south and then going back up north and all
Mm.
the things that I picked up down south, the north don't really, pick up on,
At all.
um, I vividly remember in middle school, and everybody was yes sir, yes ma'am to their teacher, and I was just like, I've never heard of this before, and I ended up going back up top and talking to my uncle, and I told him yes sir, and he almost wanted to smack me. He was like, What'd you just say? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what is yes sir? What is that?" So
Look,
that was a
especially
whole new
depending on
thing.
his age, right?
Right, exactly. So that was a big culture shock for me, and noticing like how different, you know, regionally how things are so much different. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? That really shaped, having both sides and experiencing both sides really shaped, the person I am today.
So I hear that. So you think it kind of helped you become a little more well rounded, a little bit, just having both experiences.
Definitely knowing how to work in different environments, noticing, acknowledging early who you're dealing with and who you're talking to.
Mm.
I think that's a big thing that people miss in, specifically business. You got
Mm.
to know who you're talking to, what's allowed, what's not allowed, when you're trying to do business. And I think having that north upbringing, but down south, learning that and figuring out different people. Everybody's different, in their own
Yeah.
way. So yeah, definitely played a big part in how I move now.
And so what you're saying is that you got to know your audience, right? And to your
Exactly.
point, I don't care which bit. I'm real estate, right? And the same thing with real estate. And to your point, a lot of us neglect the fact of how important that is,
Yeah.
right? A lot of us don't even do background. We don't even vet people, right? A lot of times, and then you find yourself in a situation that you weren't prepared or equipped for because you just assumed the environment was going to be one thing when it was a complete another, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that's a valid point. As an artist, I'm sure, but even as just as a professional, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to be an entrepreneur necessarily because a professional. It's good to know, your environment and understand the audience,
Yeah.
that you're sitting down with. And so yeah, make sure people take note of that. Okay, I can see he gonna be dropping some gems this evening. So y'all got,
There we go.
you know what I'm
There we
saying? Make
go.
sure y'all tune in and sit still.
Yeah.
And so how early was it back and forth? When did you start? When did you
Yeah, I'll
first move
say
from New Jersey to Richmond? How old?
I was gonna say around 9 or 10 years old. So that was 2010, somewhere around
Okay.
there. 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. And like I said, like I would go to school down here in the South. Even like, I wasn't old enough to drive at the time, but like I even noticed that like it's much slower driving down here and
Mm,
compared to up north and how they drive that was the first thing I noticed as a kid. Like, why are we going so slow? Because you're gonna get pulled over.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So even learning that, but yeah, just learning, I feel like people down south are very, very respectful, very manners is a big thing. Whereas up top back north is move out the way. Like I know where I'm going, you better know where you going. You know what I'm saying? So
And
I
get in
came
my
up in
way, don't
that.
slow me down.
Exactly. Exactly. So like I feel like up north, it kind of gave me that drive of like, yo, we got to get to it. We got to go. We got to get this thing going. But South taught me how to speak to people, really, and like really work different rooms and different environments. So I'm very blessed to like have both experiences and learn from both.
Hmm. I actually appreciate you pointing that out. I noticed with a lot of my Richmond guests, most have I've had women and men, younger and older, um, and no shot to anyone, but I think it's definitely worth mentioning. The gentlemen, they're so well spoken. I don't care what the background was or what
Right,
the
right,
present life is. They're
right.
very well spoken and respectable. You know,
Yeah.
I'd be like, hold on, I'm holding on to my youth, all this man stuff trying to make me feel off. But I get it. It's like that's natural for them.
Yeah.
Man is natural. And so I did. So shout out to yeah, that's a big deal.
That
That's
that Southern hospitality, man. I
yeah,
can't, you know.
absolutely. Absolutely. And then another thing, to the point I think you're making is sometimes, in April's opinion, right? Sometimes when you have a certain upbringing, of course it shapes and molds you, right? That's essentially what, that's the heartbeat of
Right.
who, how we become and evolve, right? And so when you start getting the people on the other side of town, whatever that may be, whether that's up, down, northwest, regardless of where you are, having that experience, whether good or bad, right? Whether good or bad, can teach you and add something to your repertoire of who you're gonna become, right? And it can cause you to start adjusting some things that might not even been a big deal where you're from. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Might not even
Right.
been all bad at all, but you realize that, what? I actually like how they move when they do that. I actually like how they present themselves when they speak that way. And
Yep.
and so shout out to you for even being able to embrace, what to add. Because sometimes, I mean, I think the word change, and I ain't gonna get too far off topic, but I think change is intimidating for most of us. I don't care what that change involves. And so when it comes out of something different, most times we're not as receptive. You know what I'm saying? We're
Yeah.
not really open to what's different. Because when you become open to something that's different, that could almost cause you to want to change. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or feel the
Right. Right.
or need to change. It's like I can't unsee it, right? I can't unhear it. And so yeah, so I appreciate you acknowledging that. Because it could have seemed corny, right? You never know. Like it could
Right.
have just
Right.
seemed like something that's just not you. That's not what I'm from. And so I
Right.
don't want to take that like no speed past that. Because that's a big thing for a young black man, right? And so what else? Give me something else that you feel like Richmond taught you that New Jersey couldn't have. I wouldn't say wouldn't, but couldn't have, if there is anything.
Yeah. Let me think. I think the biggest thing overall is just and don't get me wrong, like up top, New York, because where I lived in New Jersey is very close to New York. Like my aunt's
Mhm.
house, you can see New York from her window. Like we right
Okay.
there. And the cost of living in New York is very, very high.
Hmm.
So most people that work in New York, have business in New York, they 9 times out of 10 live in New Jersey,
Mm,
because it's just a bridge over, you know. But I think Richmond and Virginia in general, and like I said, New York is a big place. There's all kinds of
yeah,
people that
huge,
come through
massive.
there,
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of people that come through there. But Richmond specifically really felt like a melting pot for me. Like, I don't know what it was. There's people from all over. Like, most people from Richmond that I met are probably not from Richmond. And they're probably not from Virginia. But for some reason, this is like a destination where a lot of people come to. I don't know if it's like a midpoint in people's life or the transition point for
Mm-hmm.
people. But just meeting all different kinds of people, and like I said, just I feel like the biggest thing Richmond taught me is learning how to work in different environments. You know, you got the downtown crowd, which entails what it entails. People from Richmond know what I'm talking about, you know. And then you got a countryside of Virginia, you know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't care for the city. And then you got Petersburg, and you got the 757, and you know, it's so many different dynamics that
Mm-hmm.
come with Virginia and all different kind of aspects. So just being in different environments, learning different people, it really taught me. I feel like up north, there's really just one way to go. When you up north, even if you're not from up north, you better get with the up north way, or else
Mm-hmm.
you're not gonna survive. Whereas Virginia, it's like you
Mm.
can be how you are, and you can find a environment that fits how
That
you
fits
are.
that. Mm.
Exactly. Exactly. And I always, like, through school, through friends, like I was that guy that was like in all the different friend groups. Like, I
Mm.
played sports, so I'd be cool with the sports people.
Mm.
And I needed help on assignments and tests. So I was cool with the people that was smart. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? I was cool with the people that made jokes all day because I love to laugh. So I learned how to adapt to any environment I'm in. And I feel like Virginia definitely played a big part in that for me. So that's the
Mm.
biggest thing I took away.
That's good. That's good. So was the move because of something educational, better environment, or was that just family moving around?
Yeah, that was a family decision. So my parents, I grew up in the church. And that was kind of like my music background without me knowing.
Mm.
I came up playing drums in church.
Mm.
And my parents were part of a very big church in New Jersey. Um, I wouldn't say mega church level, but whatever level was like right under mega church,
That was
that's where
them.
we were. That's where we was at. Like, it was thousands of people coming to this church. And he got, branched out. So it was time to move and branch into another part of the church and an extension of the church. And my parents felt like God called them to Virginia. So
Mm.
that's where we moved to. Obviously it wasn't my choice. But that was a decision that was made. And just as a kid, it's like you don't really look at it any different. It's like, oh, we're moving. It's kind of exciting. Like, you going to a different
Mm.
place than what you're used to. It's like, yeah, why not? You want to see what's out there. So um, that was a big influence on me, and just
Mm.
adjusting. That taught me how to adjust to different people. That taught me how to not be comfortable
Mm.
where I'm at. I feel like my parents did their best to create an environment that was very comfortable for me, where I didn't have to adjust too much, and I can fit right in. And moving to Virginia really taught me how to learn different people and how they move, and how to adjust to whatever situation I'm in.
Mm-hmm. There's a term people use to describe their level of discomfort, right? And they say fish out of water,
Yep.
right? And just to be of that, I've never understood that personally.
Right.
And I get it. I mean, I didn't move around as a young child, so I'm not that's not my reasoning. I grew up in the same neighborhood and was there from a child all the way up to an adult. So
Yep.
that wasn't necessarily my story, but I think from a personality perspective, I never really understood that, right? Yeah, for many reasons, I never really understood how one could feel so uncomfortable in them because of where they are or where
Mm.
they were placed, right? And so it took me many years, honestly. Maybe when I became an adult, I started understanding it a little more. But for the most part, I never really understood that. And so it's interesting for me that you kind of learned that based on environment, right? Based on being in a area where it's apparently diverse, right? In a way where you can kind of find different pockets of people that can kind of show you, probably pull a little more out of you than you thought was there too, right? When you got all these
Definitely.
different pockets of people. And so I just found that interesting because that really wasn't my story, but I never really understood or struggled with that, like not
Yeah.
knowing how to fit in or felt like I wasn't a part or anything like that. But more importantly, so let me ask you this. So were you the only sibling? The
No,
only
no.
child, or do you have other siblings?
I was only child for 2 years. And
Oh, okay.
then I had a sister and I got two brothers. So I'm the oldest of four.
Okay.
And we're pretty spread out. So my sister is 2 years younger than me. I have a brother that's 5 years younger than me, and I have a brother
Mm,
that's 10 years younger than me. Um,
mm,
so being the first child, all my first children, they can relate. You know what I'm saying? You get all the bumps and bruises. You go through the trial and
mm,
error. You see things that you was getting in trouble for that your last sibling, the parents don't
yes,
care. You know what I'm
good.
saying? So you going through trial and error. You
Mm,
learning different things about yourself. And I will say shout out to my parents. They weren't, that church household that was like super, super strict.
mm,
Obviously, there's certain things you weren't gonna do in the house. But they understand that, hey, you got your own life, you're gonna make your decisions. We're just gonna guide you in the right way or the way we think you should go. And then from there, you create your own life. So shout out to them for that, because I know it's a lot of PKs and like people that are in that environment that feel
mm.
like they're restricted or they have to be a certain way or hold up a certain image. And my parents never enforced that on me. Um, they just said, hey, this is the way we think you should go. And we're going to lead you down that path. And when it's time for you to decide, do what you want. But this is the way we're going to go. So
Wow.
shout out to them for that.
Shout out to them for that. Wow. Okay, that's refreshing. Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
talk about me for a minute. And so my husband and I were ministers, and we didn't do it that way. We did.
You know how it is then. So you know how it is. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't do it that way. So shout out to that. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say we did it wrong, but we didn't do it that way. And
Right.
to justify the reasoning, but there is a method to the madness, right? And I think a lot of it was based on, as I'm sure probably with your parents, based on your own upbringing, right? Based on our background. It's like no is the understatement. Like that's not even a conversation. Or, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you have this fear of never, that path will never be an option. And so it was like you gotta close your door to all of that, to
Yep.
make sure
Yep.
that, so I'm sure a lot of our methods were because of that, right? Just trying to make sure that you lock deadbolt at everything that looked like something that we experienced. You know what I'm saying? And having this
Definitely.
kind of fear and over concern for the route that the children, and we have a total of five together, my husband and I.
Nice.
So
Nice.
35 oldest, 18 youngest. You do the math, go
That's
figure.
a basketball team right there. You got the starting five. There you go.
Yeah, we did a little suffocating, we did. And and so I guess I'm happy to hear that because that was definitely gonna be a question, right? Like, so how was that? Can you breathe? Did you have freedom? And so, so would you say, because there's a little shift in the age differences, right? So can you recall them being a little more open minded as the family increased, or was that always for you?
Oh, for sure, it was definitely increase. It was definitely increasing grace. It was,
Mm,
because, well, one, I don't really count my sister because she's the only girl. So I feel like
mm,
off of that, like you gotta give grace to the
mm,
girl. She's the only girl in the family. But my brothers, it was like by the time it got to them, it was like, okay, maybe we need to do things differently, because
mm,
when I was in New Jersey, they had me in private school. They had me in Bible studies and Christian classes and all that stuff. So it's kind of easier to monitor. And then you come out here and you're sending me to public school, and it's a whole culture shock for
mm,
me. Um, So now I'm learning about Lil Wayne, and I'm learning
Right.
about, what I'm saying. Like we didn't talk about this in grade
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
Or, it's very different. But like I said, I feel like they did a great job in building that foundation, but also understanding, where kids are very receptive to what's around them, and you
Oh,
never know what they pick up, even if they don't show it off rip. It's like, they saw that and they remember that.
mm-hmm,
And I think my parents were very aware of what was happening when I got sent to public school. And
mm-hmm,
it was just those conversations of like, hey, this is right, this is not right, you got to deal with the rest. And and I just really appreciate them for that, um because it felt restricted, but not in the way of like, oh, if I do this, like, my parents are gonna hate me forever. It wasn't that sentiment of like hate behind it, or
mm-hmm,
nothing. It was just like, hey, you know better than that.
mm-hmm,
It was more so that, and it's like, all
mm-hmm,
right, now you got to make this decision for yourself.
mm-hmm. Yeah, shout out to your parents. That's good. That's healthy. That's wholesome.
Yeah,
Right. That's balance.
definitely.
And I kind of figured that as the family grew, because that's kind of that happened with us. So as the family grew, it was so much just like, okay, all
Yeah.
right. It's like a shock goes on, but
Exactly, exactly.
because that was the like everybody was in private school,
Yep.
but the youngest actually homeschooled, not the whole entire time, but as a middle school, I kind of homeschooled him, and so it was like just trying to figure that out,
Right.
right? And I'm sure and that's the blessing. And I really want to say the privilege. I think I really want to say privilege of having both, because neither one are in a position, or should I say, feel forced to overcompensate. And a lot of times when you're this only parent, you tend to overcompensate and compromise, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the privileges of having, you know, um, two parents in the household, because I think you can kind of balance each other out. If one's a little extreme, maybe the other one kind of, bring it back down to earth. And the other,
Exactly.
so
Balance.
yeah, I think that that's definitely a healthy mix my husband and I have. However, I do think that as the family grew, it was almost like, okay, now we got to try. Okay, because you start seeing that, okay, what you say don't is what they want.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
and if you put the capital DON, they don't even
Yeah. Now they really about to do it. Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
it's like having we had to figure that out.
Mm.
Like, okay, the exclamation underline is just enticing. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? It's almost like
Yeah.
we're creating the bait. Like, hold on. And
Exactly.
so I love that for you. I'm glad that you had that environment. And so did you have the situation where being the oldest kind of made you more like the third parent? Did you kind of walk with that air with your siblings?
I will say this like about all my siblings, and I guess this is credit to my parents again. Like, none of us are bad kids. Like, none of
Right, that's what's
us
up.
really went off the rails, or like there's no crazy kid in the family. Like, everybody is very, like I said, I feel like they really built that foundation to where everybody knows what's right and what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had this situation. I didn't, and don't get me wrong, I know most siblings, like, oh, we fight with each other, and I've never had that with my siblings. Like,
Yes. Okay.
it's a very, and I understand, like, my situation is very rare from most
Mm-hmm.
families. It's very, very rare. And
Mm-hmm.
I do appreciate that, about my upbringing. But everybody gets along. There's no fights, there's no craziness going
You ain't
on.
have to overly poke your chest out as big brother because everybody kind
Exactly.
of understood.
Exactly. Everybody respects each other in their space. They know who the older brother is.
Mm-hmm.
We'll play fight, of course, but it was nothing like serious,
Mm-hmm.
or I hate you, or nothing like that, where as
Just
most families, I feel like that is a normal thing.
unfortunate.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it is a normal thing, and I do acknowledge that. But I'm fortunate to know, and I'm not delusional to think like, oh, how I was brought up was like regular. I know that's not a regular thing. So I
Mm-hmm.
also acknowledge like the appreciation for how my life has been as a kid. Very, very fortunate.
You should. You should.
Yeah,
Say that again for our kids in the back. Say that.
yeah.
They hear
Very, very
you.
fortunate. First of all, two
Right.
parents is very fortunate in itself. Like,
Yeah, it is
if you have
so.
two
Yeah.
parents, you should appreciate that. I know Father's Day just passed. Out to all the active fathers in the household, or you even trying to get in the household or be a part of the household, because I know it's
Yeah.
hard for some guys as well. But yeah, if you can be there for all the fathers in the house. Be there. It does make a difference, even if you don't feel like it. Even if you feel like you're not making a difference, you are.
Mhm.
And shout out to all the mothers as well that is doing it on their own and trying to figure out on themselves, because that family structure and how you're brought up as a kid really does shape how you are as a person, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I explained a bit of it, but I think it's refreshing to hear. It's exciting to hear. I ain't gonna try to dilute it. It's exciting to hear. To your point, it's just not. It's unfortunately no longer the norm, and we're gonna get back
Yeah.
there. And that's kind of what the traditional basis of our household was built upon. Like none of every kid is on the straight and narrow. You know what I'm saying? Like ain't nobody
Right.
on charge, ain't nobody ain't nowhere near no experience. We had they sit on the like we had like all that. You know what I'm saying? So it to your point, it showed it's called the proof in the pudding, right?
There you go.
And what you become is the proof in the pudding that yeah, it worked. We did the right thing the right way
Exactly.
because it creates you into a this is how I want to say it. It makes you a certain caliber of person,
Mm,
right? And when you've had what I would like to describe as a quality lifestyle, it makes you a quality individual.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I can even tell just not just your choice of words, but even what you're sharing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's important. What you're sharing kind of shows the quality of young man that you are. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely grateful and excited for that for you. And so when did okay now let me go here first. You said you was playing the drums.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you came up to Rich, were you still a musician in the church at that time?
Yeah, so it's so funny because my mom would tell me, like, as a kid, and um in the church, like, you got the adult, that's regular church, and then you got children's church, right?
Right.
So my mom used to tell me, like, I would literally throw a fit because I wasn't in regular church. I'm like, Mom, why are you sending me to children's church? I don't want to be here.
I'm not a
I want to
kid.
be with the adults. So um and music always just stuck with me. She would share stories, and I don't even remember these stories. Like, these are things like my parents have to tell me because I don't remember these times. But they'd be like, "Yeah, I had to. You cried to me. You wanted me to buy you a guitar so you could match the person on stage playing the guitar." And I would literally grab the guitar and like run to the front of the stage, like, and security would be like, "Hey, just let him be there," and I'd be playing the guitar like the people on the stage. So that was like ever since a kid, like music just always stuck with me.
Mm,
So when we moved to Virginia, my dad, he started his own church, as a extension of the church he came from in New
okay.
Jersey, the big church. They wanted to branch out and build churches in different cities. So I was playing the drums in my dad's church and also running the sound.
Oh, okay.
So I was making sure the mics were good, everybody was leveled, EQ'd right. So that kind of got me into engineering
Mm,
from a young age, which obviously, like, at the time, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going off of what I'm told. Hey,
right.
make sure this is right. I'm recording the messages. I'm burning CDs so my dad can sell them to people that
Mm,
want to hear the message later. I'm going live to make sure that he has record of his sermons and all that stuff. So as a kid, I'm just thinking like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm not thinking of it as like a business or anything like that. It's just like, hey, this is what I know how to do, so I'm just gonna do it. And it was funny because like I never went to choir rehearsals,
mm.
practices. I hated them. I'm like, I just want to play with my friends. Like, I don't want to do it. But when it was time for Sunday, somehow, some way, I knew exactly what to do. I knew how to play. I knew everything that was right, and it just clicked for me. It was just like just music was just a natural thing for me.
Mm. So, was there ever a time when your parents spoke about the ministerial side of things? Like, was
Definitely,
that was
all the
really
time, all the time. My mom, she was like, "Yeah, you're gonna be a preacher one day. Like, you're gonna be just like your dad." And I was just like, I don't think so. I don't think so, you know? But even watching like for Father's Day, I had posted some clips of my dad and just watching him minister to people and be on camera. And I'm just like, that's the same confidence I have when I perform. Like I can see like the same thing right there, even though it's in different fields and different
Mm-hmm.
spaces. Like it's just that charisma and that confidence that is just has always been instilled in me. And these are all recent discoveries. Like I said, when I'm
Oh,
in the
okay.
moment and doing it, like I'm not thinking of it like that.
Yeah.
I'm just like, hey, this my parents told me to do, so I'm just gonna do it to the best of my ability. But over time, you see, like, okay, this is literally what's shaping you into the person you are. You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was never like, oh, if you don't do this, like, oh, you're
Right.
on punishment, or it was all like things that like I willingly wanted to do, and be involved in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just crazy that sound and just music was just that's the path I chose. But I didn't grow up like, hey, I want to be an artist or I want to do music. I never was
Mm.
that kind of person. It was just like, I mean, hey, I know how to do this, so might as well. But it was never like a grooming thing to where I was like, okay, I'm built for this. I know what I'm supposed to do in life. It
Mm.
was it was never in
It
it.
was never that.
And looking at the aspect of my life, it may look super planned out, but it wasn't.
It
I
wasn't.
promise it
It
wasn't.
wasn't. Because I definitely conjured up my own conclusions. I was like, oh, okay, he's doing the SoundCloud.
Yeah.
You know, I knew, okay.
Right. It makes sense. The dots
Yeah,
connect,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah. It's so, because I mean, somebody will think I'm stretching it, but you know, I'm very spiritually inclined, and I'm confident enough to say that it's alignment. It is when things alignment, you don't necessarily have to write it out and make it plain. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to
Right.
always know and have an idea young and build upon. No, it's when it's a part of the assignment, it's a part of the assignment. And
Right.
sometimes when things are what we consider ordained, they're afterthoughts. A lot of times, you might notice, oh, I kind of did feel a little different. I kind of did act a little different. Like those little bits and pieces you try to put together, but a lot of times it be an afterthought. You know what I'm saying? It don't be this
Yeah.
all well planned out situation. And then furthermore, um, music is ministry. You
Yeah.
minister through music, right? And
Yeah.
so this is real funny. I wasn't gonna go here, but I'm gonna go here. And so I used to rap, right? I used to rap.
Okay.
Um,
Let me
we
find out.
consider
Let me find out. Let me get you on a little freestyle.
we consider secular rap at one particular time, right? And just real hardcore, real grimy. Don't look up. I'm not gonna tell you my stage name back then,
Hold
Lord.
on, MC. We got a little MC Light in here. Queen Latifah.
And so the funny story of it is that like deep grimy, just it's what I lived, it's where I was from, and so. But when my husband and I got into ministry and became ministers, I automatically vetoed rap. Like, okay, well, can't do this now. So, and my husband and other people was like, guess you can. Like, what I'm gonna do? Like, I'm gonna rap the scripture. Like, what are you
Right.
talking about? And yes, there were Christian rappers, but it just wasn't popular enough for you to say, oh, I can. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like for me, it was like, no, we're not doing that. Like, that's no. And that it didn't take long for me to say, you know what? I could flip this. I got a different concept, a whole nother mindset. Like I actually got a whole
Hmm.
nother vocabulary. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, and I can never forget when I decided because okay, before we were ministers, my husband was my manager,
Okay.
right? So he was really the one like you can actually, and this actually gonna be crazy if you spin this. You know,
Yeah.
and so when it happened, I can remember the adrenaline. It was almost like I never stopped, and it was insane, right? And I can remember when I would run into or hear of or see on social media other people that I shared stages with, old life, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah," like, and it was just such a surprise to them. And so I share all that to say that even it took me a while to understand that that's what I was doing the whole while. I just was doing it wrong.
Mm,
I was just influencing in the wrong fashion, in the wrong manner. It didn't just happen when I got in the church because that's kind of what I'm going at. A lot of times we think it just happens.
right.
because
Right.
I ended up here or with him or there. And it's like, nah, it's always been, like I said, it'd be an afterthought. It's always been there. And so yeah, so that's my little story. And and that kind of went somewhere else. But now I'm trying to skip the subject. And so, but when did you first realize that there was some passion or love or something connected to music a little more than just taking care of the church?
Yeah. Music has always been there for me. I feel like me and my dad, that's how we bonded the most, you know.
Mm,
And growing up, I only knew Christian music. So, you know,
mm,
Fred Hammond and Kirk Franklin, you know, people like that. Like that's what I was used to. So I would like to say they're on the better end of Christian music. Like their quality is very, very high. So
mm.
that shaped my music. But like I said, once I moved to Virginia, I'm in public school now. So
Yeah.
now I'm learning about Lil Wayne and Ti, and you know all these people that are in that space.
Mhm.
And this is around the time where public schools they started giving kids laptops. So
Oh,
yeah, so it was around that time. So I'm downloading every mixtape. I'm Lil Wayne, Chris Brown, Wiz Khalifa. I'm like, this is a whole new world for me because I've
yeah.
never heard this kind of stuff before. And not even when I listened to songs that were out back then, I'm like, I didn't know that's what they meant back then. It really didn't sound like that to me. It really didn't. Like, I was like, it just sounds good. Like, I wasn't paying attention to what they were saying. And I'm like, yeah, I probably wouldn't let my kid listen to that now that I'm thinking about it. But I'm like, at the time, I'm not thinking that way, you know?
Mhm.
And it was one day where um it was some situation that happened where it didn't even involve me, but it was somewhere to where they wanted all the parents to through the kids' computers, whatever.
Mm.
And
The
my
audit.
parents my parents found all of that music in my computer. They banned me they deleted all that stuff. I was devastated. Like I don't think people understand how dedicated you have to be to download as many mixtapes as I downloaded.
At that
Like
time,
that
right?
is so much that I'm talking about. I have flash drives. I'm loading them up, and I'm like, I got my computer. I got headphones in. I got my computer, my book bag. I'm headphones on in class. Like that's all I'm listening to constantly. So they found I was listening to stuff like that, and that was a big shock for me because I'm like, why are they so mad that it's just music? Like that's how I saw it. Like it's just music. Now that I'm older, I understand, you know.
Right.
But at the time, I'm just like, why? I couldn't figure it out. But that was like my introduction into a whole new world, whole new
Mm,
world. But it was something like even this was the first time where like if I did something wrong and I knew my parents were upset, it was like, all right, I'm not gonna do this no more. This is
mm.
the first time where I was like, I would
Yes.
still listen to them. I would still do it. I would still do it. So literally the next day, I got to class and I'm re-downloading everything. Like I'm just nah. Like I'll delete it when I get home and I'll download the next day again. Like I was literally that dedicated to that. I don't know what it was that drew me in. Don't get me wrong. They found out I like rap. They pointed me into like the Christian rap
Mm.
and there's some very very good like Lecrae. I was
Oh
very
yeah,
like
it's crazy like
early, yeah,
right. Yeah.
amazing,
Sean
amazing. Like
Burgundy, yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
they used to take me to all those shows. I used to see them live. I met Lecrae, Andy Mineo, all these people. Like I've met all of them. They used to come to the church in New Jersey all the time. So
oh
like
wow.
I was very aware of who they were and what it was, but I was just like it was just something about the rest of the music that was in the world. And I was just like, why are they so passionate on like, keeping this from me? Like I never knew this was the real thing. And it wasn't even like me hearing the song. It would be kids like just singing lines and everybody's joining
Mhm.
in. I don't know what the song is. And that just made me
Right,
feel like,
right.
why do I not know this? Why does everybody know the song except me? You know? So it's like now I gotta figure out what this song is. You know what I'm saying? So it had benefits and negatives in it, but
Mm,
overall it was just like how do I bring these two worlds together? That was
mm,
my whole thing. And not knowing it at the time, because like obviously at the time I didn't think I was gonna be an artist. But like now looking back on it, like blending worlds together is literally my thing. And I think situations like that really really molded, how I am now and how I am as an artist as well. So I appreciate those moments of, um, punishment from my parents, and I appreciate those times because, like, looking
But you
back
know,
on it,
I don't
man.
mean to cut you off, but it's the whole transition. It sounds like is the was the foundation for being able to bring the two worlds together, because that's essentially what you kind of had to do, right? In a
Yeah,
sense, or at
yeah,
least got the handle on it and understood
yeah.
the benefits of it, right? And so that one, now I got it funny. So the oldest, one time we catch him. I don't remember exact situation, but we realized it wasn't Lecrae. It wasn't it wasn't
Yeah,
old.
yeah,
It
right.
was it was God. I should know his name. I'm sorry. Uh, Skateboard dude. I think he did something at MIT over the past few years.
Mm.
Um, Secular artist. God, what is his name? Lupe.
Lupe Fiasco. Okay. Yeah.
That's who it was. And we didn't have a clue who he was. Like it wasn't at that time we were kind of like so far out of the loop way now. And he's like, no, but he listen to what he's talking about. And he's talking about the culture. And he was trying to influence it. So it was like, okay, but what about track 3? What about track 4?
Yeah, right,
And so
right.
he was like, he didn't understand it. I can recall seeing that face expression like it ain't like you saying what Wayne and them saying. Like in
Right,
the in
right.
the in the album, whichever one that was, it wasn't. Because we kind of like we want to hear it. Like, okay, let us hear it. And he was like, he didn't get it. He's like, and it was like, trust me, we hear what he's saying, but he's saying other things too, and it's subtle.
Hmm.
And because it's so subtle, you're gonna be even more receptive to it, And so he didn't get it until as your experience, you kept going. It was like, but at this
Right,
point, it's
right.
almost like you about to go to college, like, dude, like gotta, like I said, as time evolves, it's like, okay, some point we ain't, we just trying to tell you, but you about to
Right,
be
right.
doing. And so I love that. I love that you had an environment that would push back, because that's the problem culturally. That's been the problem for centuries, is there's no pushback. There's
Yeah.
no challenge. There's no question. There's no what you listen to. You know what I'm saying? There's no what you
Hmm.
watching. And it seems liberating as a child, right? And you seem flexible as a parent and understanding. But when there's no pushback and there's no challenge, and there's no you really
Hmm.
don't understand. And you said something to this effect earlier. You don't really see what's going on. You don't really understand what's shaping them, what's going into them, when you just kind of hands off. And
Yeah.
then you say, I don't even know him no more. She don't even
Hmm.
act like a child no more. And it's because you were so hands off. That's why I said, okay, yeah, we had a little, you know, keys and cuffs, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
we kind of lifted the shackles, but I'd have rather have shackles than none. I ain't had no shackles. I ain't had no discipline.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It was free
Right.
fall. That's how I experienced what I experienced. One day y'all here, one day y'all might not. And so,
Hmm.
but yeah, so I'm grateful that you had the environment that would check in,
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
was it was needed, because your story would be different today.
Definitely.
Clearly
Definitely.
different.
And I think that's a big thing that if you're not and I don't have any kids yet. So I'm speaking from an experience to where I fully still don't understand because I don't have kids, and that battle of a parent where it's like you want your kid to, experience life, and but at the same time you've seen enough to know, hey, probably shouldn't do this, or you probably shouldn't do that. And as a kid you don't understand those things, and you're questioning your parents like, hey, everybody else is doing it, like, why, you know what I'm saying? And it's like you don't understand from that from that parent perspective. And specifically with music is way more powerful than people understand. When you get down to, and this is a deeper conversation we don't have to get too deep into, but
No, we can't. Let's do there. You're an
chakras
artist.
and subs, and that does something as to a human being.
Mhm.
Like it makes you more open up just off of a beat. You don't have to hear what nobody's saying. It's chakras that really, align you a certain way to where once I start saying what I'm saying, it don't matter what I'm saying,
Mhm. You're already
And
open. Mhm.
exactly, exactly. And you can be like, oh, it's just a song, or it's just a movie, or it's just but over time, the repetitiveness, you start saying it. And I even noticed that with my own music, like I'm a very creative person, imaginative person, but even I could make a scenario in my mind that has never happened to me. But once I record it and make the song, you start seeing that situation unfold. And
Mhm.
it's a bigger conversation of words have power. And
Mhm.
music is like the extra sauce on it, like the superpower.
Like
So if
no,
you
seriously, yeah.
yeah, if you singing, if you love, and I love Mary J. Blige and like all that stuff, but you keep singing sad songs, you
Mhm.
probably gonna end up in a sad
Yes,
situation,
because it's manifestation. It's a sense of
Exactly.
magic. You can't say these words because people say, "Oh boy, there she go," and I lost you, and that's okay. I'll be right here when you get back. Somehow he dropped off. I will be here. That's because of the direction we're going in. That's all. Okay. That's okay. Here we back.
I don't know.
Okay.
Did we get right?
Back.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
see, we start going in that direction. That's we already
Look,
know
look.
it's. I said I know what that's about. We just start going into the territory. It's like, hold up.
Yeah.
Let me just make
Yeah.
sure we're still live.
Okay.
It's showing that we are. So I want to double check. Is it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Um, yeah, no, keep going. Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
I think I ended by
Y-
saying yeah because
Last thing
it's
I heard was
magic.
manifestation, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And
That's a real thing. That's a real thing. And like I said, as a kid, you don't understand that. You
yeah.
don't understand that,
And
and
as a parent, it's hard to explain and describe when every other kid in the classroom is allowed. I think that's the
exactly.
biggest, I think, as a parent, me speaking, that's one of the biggest challenges with raising children in the way in which we did and we are. And my husband and I
Yeah.
talk about that to this day. The biggest, even with adult children, is still a constant struggle with what everybody else doing,
Yeah.
you know.
Definitely. Definitely. And that's a conversation, me and my mom had, me and my dad have had, like, hey, you wasn't here to blend in. Like they always tell me, like, blending in is you're not, you're in this world, you're not of this world.
Okay, thank you.
That is that is like the biggest thing they instilled in me very early. Like, hey, I understand you want to blend in. I understand you want to feel normal. I understand you want to feel comfortable around certain environments, but the reality is you're not. Like that's something that I, learned from a very, very young age. And that's just always just stuck with me above all else. Like, hey, this is not, your final destination. This is not the world that you will end in. So it's just making the impact while you're here, and you take on that responsibility without even knowing it,
Without even
and
without even your approval.
exactly,
Without your consent
exactly.
approval, it's like, nope, sorry, yeah, you're a
Yeah,
responsible party now. So was that okay? So let's talk about the beginning of it, right? And now, okay, so now you're into this other genre now. It's like, oh, okay, hold on, this is cool. This is that. So can you take us through that process with I don't
yeah.
want
I
to call it
mean,
pressure, but the environment that you're more conducive to, and now your love for music or your interest is now pulling into a world that's somewhat contrary to what you're used to. What was that like for you in the very beginning?
it was really just trying to figure it out. Like, obviously, if I even as a kid, if I hear Lil Wayne or somebody talking about shooting somebody in the face, I know that's wrong. Like, I'm not contemplating
Right.
that. But I was so fascinated in the way he described it because it wasn't that direct. It wasn't like I'm gonna shoot you in the face. It was like the poetry of it and the layers of it. And that's what I was trying to explain to my parents. It's like, no, it's not just about the
Mm-hmm.
message that he's saying, it's how he's saying it. And there's just the poetry of rap in itself and music and how you can the double entendres and the you know what I'm saying it was I was more interested in that. I was more
Mm-hmm.
interested in the production. So I'm like, I understand your concern of, you don't want me to go down this certain path. I totally understand that and it makes sense, and I'm not gonna go down this path. But I also do appreciate the poetry and the art of rap in general, whereas I feel like, guarding me to a certain genre of rap, and I don't want to downplay Christian rap because there's a lot of good Christian rappers. Do not get me wrong on that. It's some very dope artists you should check out, um, as the audience, But I do feel like there is a restriction there, or it used to be, not anymore. I feel like now, because I still listen to Christian rap,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like it's broadened to like a more receptive, like you can digest it a little better now. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
back then it was like they're rapping Bible verses. Like they're, what I'm
Literally,
saying? Like,
yeah.
but now it's like it's more receptible to, the times. And I don't know, it was something that just drew me to the other side of the world. It just felt like you were just like they were just blocking something from me. And I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, I have to figure out what this is. Like I have to figure it out. But the balance of it was more so like, hey, I'm gonna listen to it. I know a lot of things isn't right, and even still now, like with all the knowledge I have now, like it's still a lot of stuff. It's like I appreciate it for what it is, but I know like I'm not living that lifestyle, and I know that's not right, and I know like I'm not condoning, black on black crime and things like that is so pumped and heavy. But
Mm-hmm.
I also understand the agenda that's behind even that,
Right.
like and even learning that as time goes on, and understanding like a lot of rappers and artists are just puppets in general,
Yeah.
and but like I said, everything comes with a balance. I was always heavier into the production side of music more than necessarily what the artists are saying. The beats, the production, that was like what really drew me into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the words are like an afterthought. Like, yeah, I know this person's messed up. I know, yeah, he's tatted all in the face and he's promoting drugs and sipping this, and doing that. And I always had the moral compass of like, yeah, I know what's right from wrong. And I would just like compare it to like a movie, a
Mm-hmm.
really good movie. You're not like, I'm not gonna watch this because they're cursing in the movie, but you're also not gonna watch the movie and start cursing everywhere you go,
Right.
you
Right.
know? And that's how I look at music. Like artists they're painting a picture, they're painting a story. It's like watching a movie, or playing a video game. It's the same way. And I also learned very early, like my parents taught me like these rappers are not living the life that they portray either.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding that, like, oh, this is just they're just making up stories, they're just storytellers. So that kind of like, because I do feel like that's part of um what the youth is gravitating towards, is like, oh, they're rapping this, so I have to do this because it's real life. And 9 times out of 10, they're in
Mm-hmm.
California living a great life.
Mm-hmm.
They
Kids in
kids in
private
private
school.
school. Yeah, yeah, literally. So once you learn that, and that's what I was taught at a young age, I feel like that kind of helped me too with navigating. I think at some point my parents realized, hey, he's not gonna stop listening to this stuff. Like, yeah, I think I
Mm-hmm.
got busted enough times for them to realize, hey, so let's just try to redirect him toward a certain way. This is the path he's going down. But then as I got older, and that's the thing I'm learning too, because like I said, I don't have kids, but like as you get older, now you can kind of remove some of the protection and start
Mm-hmm.
being real. That's when I learned like, oh, my dad didn't grow up listening to Christian music. He liked Prince.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm learning like, okay, all right, now we can connect here because
Right.
you listen to, some out there music as well, and we connected on that. So once I got older, it's like, okay, now we can bond differently because I
Mm-hmm.
know
Because it's a
that
better
you
understanding on both ends. So do you think?
exactly. and you grew up this way, but now you're here. So I know no matter what kind of background, what kind of music you listen to, whatever you do, you can always end up in a positive light, no matter where you come from, what's your background. And I do believe in, having those restrictions on kids. And then as you get older, you can be more real with them. You can, tell them about real life. And as they discover and you can relate to them, you don't want to put everything in their face up front because you don't know how
Right.
that's going to shape their future. But, once you feel like you have that solid foundation, now I can really, go through what's going on. And as I got older, I learned that about my parents too. Is like,
Mm,
you guys didn't grow up like me. You guys wasn't in a Christian school growing up. It was DMX. It was,
right.
it was,
Right.
what I'm saying? So, so once
And
I
then
learned
some.
that, it was just like, all right, now we have a common ground here because
Mhm.
growing up as a kid, you only see your parents as how they are right now. You don't see
Right.
them before
Right.
you were made, before you were a thought.
Even if they kind of, even if you heard their testimony, you still kind of see them as they are
Right. You see
today,
them in a certain
present.
light.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
as you get older, you realize like, hey, they weren't always like that either. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm on a better trajectory than they were growing up. So, it's just a balance to everything. And like I said, I think the foundation is the biggest part. As long as you have that foundation, you can get to where you need to go.
Mm-hmm. So when did you? Cause you said you were more on the production side of things, right? As far as the interest. So when did the interest in the artistry side and storytelling? When did that come about?
Yeah, so even like in school, I used to get in trouble for downloading programs that let you make beats. I used to
Oh,
get in
okay.
trouble for stuff like that. I think I was actually the middle school I went to, or the high school I went to, they literally banned the program because I was using it because you weren't technically supposed to download it, but it wasn't banned at the time. That was banned, and I just was really fascinated with like making beats. Like that was like my number one thing. And then being an artist that didn't happen till COVID. So I'm in college
Oh,
now at this point. I'm in college. Like I said, I didn't grow up like, hey, I want to be an artist. I want to be a
right. You
rapper.
said that.
I played
Mm-hmm.
drums in the church. I played drums in middle school, but that was only because I wanted to go on the field trips at the end of the year. It had nothing to do with music. But I was like, hey, I want to go to Busch Gardens at the end of the year, so I'm gonna play the drums because the band they got to leave school early and do all kind of cool stuff. So that's why I did that, and then yeah, during COVID, like I said, my music love was always there. Like every time, every Friday, or back then it was Tuesdays. Artists used to drop on Tuesdays. Now it's Fridays,
Mm-hmm.
but the new music used to come out on Tuesdays. So every Tuesday, I'm arguing with all my friends in high school, like, oh, this album's better than that. Drake is better than him. J. Cole is better than that. Like, it was every day. Like, every conversation I had was either sports or music, like, every single conversation. So, when COVID hit, we're stuck in the house. This is my senior year in college. And, yeah, we didn't even get to walk across the stage, which was crazy to me. But,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so we stuck in the house. I got my computer and I had a roommate at the time in my apartment and we shared the love for music and I just started recording music and my whole goal was like I just want to make music I want to listen to. That was my only goal. I didn't think of like put it out nowhere, nothing. I
Mm-hmm.
literally just wanted to make music that I like. So I started making music, recording, and my friend at the time, he was like, hey, you should start coming with me to the studio. So I just started watching the engineer in the studio at the time and learning like professionalism and Pro Tools and all these different programs. I'm just literally just sitting there for hours watching him just like make all this stuff on the program. And then I would go home and try to do the same stuff he
Same
did,
thing.
because I'm like, hey, I'll tell my friend eventually you won't have to pay for this. Like, I'm gonna learn it.
I'm gonna
You
do
don't have to
it.
pay for it
Right.
no more and all that. So I started learning it myself. And like I said, I wasn't taking it serious. Like I was just I would invite friends over, and I'd play like regular music, like industry music, music that people already know, and then I would just like throw my song in the mix. And I wouldn't tell them it was me. I wouldn't tell them it was me. I would just play the
Okay.
song, get a genuine reaction, and they were like, "Oh, wait, who is this? Who is this? This needs to." I'm like, "This is me." They wouldn't believe me at first. I'm like, "Yeah, no, this is me." They're like, "Oh, why isn't this out?" And I'm like, "Why isn't it out? What do you mean? Like putting it out everywhere?" Like, yeah. So Like, I don't know about that. Like, and I always had this thing against like local artists. I'm like, he's local, he's from Virginia, he's whack. Like automatically, like, oh, he's not
Automatic.
famous, he's not big. Like, it gotta be bad. Like, you know. But then one day I was on social media somehow. I don't know if you know Kurt Cobain's, but he had a couple big songs back when I was in like middle school, high school. Like he's known in the industry um and everything. And I was just on Instagram and I DM'd him like, yo, get on this song, like just being funny. And he actually got on the song. And that was the first song I ever put out ever.
Oh wow.
So my whole thing was like, hey, I don't want to be known as like this local artist, whatever. So I need a name that people know so that they take me serious. So
Hmm.
that was the name. And from there, people started taking me serious and they're like, oh, when's the album? When's this, when that? And I'm like, album? What do you mean? Like, I just want to put out this song. Like,
Right.
so from there, like people started holding me accountable. And I was like, all right, well, now I gotta do this for real now. So
Hmm.
that's what kind of birthed like the artistry of it. Like I said, I never grew up like, yeah, I'm gonna be an artist. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. I was never that. I just knew I had a love for music. I understood music. I was a music nerd. I'm to this day I'm a music nerd. Like I listen to every genre except country. I can't do country. But everything else, rock. I grew up on Guitar Hero. So like everything, like I try not to put myself in no boxes when it comes to music. And that kind of just shaped how it was. But yeah, if it wasn't for COVID, I can't say I would be an artist
You
right
probably
now.
been.
I can't say
What
that.
you go to school for?
Business administration. I got my degree in business administration and minor in entrepreneurship. So I
Okay.
actually got my associate's degree in high school. So I only had
Did a
2 years
dual
of
enrollment.
college. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, my last year was during COVID. And they're like, oh well, you can walk on stage with the class after you. And I was like, nah, that's disrespectful. Like
That's
I ain't doing
so
my
unfortunate.
own. So yeah, but it was and that even in itself, like Hampton, I went to Hampton University. Shout out to Hampton. They even that taught me a lot just from all the different people I met. That's the people that I met in the music industry. To this day, there are people in the music industry that are very big now in that
Mm-hmm.
space that went to Hampton. It's like I'm grateful that I made those connections because they pulled me into this, literally pulled me into the
Mm-hmm.
studio and like, yo, you have to be here, like you got it, like, and I'm just like, I don't want to do that. I don't think I want to do that, but they kind of forced me into that, so I'm grateful for them as well.
So when was it? When did you decide? Okay, that's it. Once you got the guy to get on the song with you,
Yeah,
that's
that
when you
was it.
realized. Like,
Once Kurt Cobain said he was gonna get on the song, I was like, all right, I gotta take this serious now. I
mm,
got to because that's not like an everyday kind of thing. Like, and that was really gonna be it. That was gonna be my one song. I was gonna go back to making music for myself. And then my friends were just like, nah, we need to turn this into a business. We need to do this. And shout out to my
mm,
roommate, Wavy JC. He's also an artist as well. Part of We the Culture, my brand. But it was just me and him. And he played a big part in why it is what it is today.
mm,
Because he was part of that. Like, hey, we going to the studio today. We doing this today. I quit my job because the unemployment checks at that time was looking. It was paying more than my job. I'm just being real. Like, so I was like, I'm gonna quit my job to get paid more. And we spent all that money on studio time. Like
mm.
every day, 5 hours, literally every single day of my life, I was in the studio.
Wow. So where
Yeah.
did the name come from? Where did that idea of your name come from?
Yeah. So my real name is Tyler.
Okay.
So most of my friends call me Ty. My cousins call me Ty Ty. That's a tie. And then I'm also like a very, very busy person. So like all my friends are like, you always on the go. You always moving around. You always da da
Mm,
da. Da." So I just blended the two together. Tie go. And then I always think of like the future, like how would this work in real life? So like you could put something at the end of that, like Ty go crazy or Ty go whatever you want to feel. And so it kind of feels like a sentence as well. If I ever wanted to
mm,
transition into something like a concept bigger than that, I'm always thinking bigger than like what it is at the time.
mm-hmm,
That's just me. But I felt like that was and then I always knew I wanted to keep it 2 syllable. 2 syllable is the most easiest to remember for me.
mm,
Like 2 syllables. Anything after 2 syllables, now you're struggling with reading a name. And I wanted something quick that people could read easy.
mm.
When they're announcing, I don't want them to get my name wrong. Things like that. So
So you put some thought. So everything is about a blend. I'm getting with you. Everything's about this blend and this gelling,
Yeah,
mushing that's coming
yeah.
together. That's that. Yeah, I'm gonna hold off that thought that I was gonna say. I want to learn a little bit more because I kind that's I see it's profound, right? How and you're not stretching it. You really are. You are
Yeah.
taking this to that and making it work in this world from that world, and you're putting it together and this to that, and I think that's pretty profound. So that was your first official song that you did with that guy. So
Yeah.
lyrically, where was it? Were you way on the left with your lyrics, or did you have a balance with
You
it, or
know, I don't even remember. A lot of music from that time is like so cringy to me because of like what I know now. So I like avoid listening to it. But like there's still people like, oh, I still listen to that song. I'm like, why? But not to downplay myself, but I'm like, I'm so much better now. You know, but I don't even fully remember. I know in the back of my mind, because I didn't necessarily like announce to my parents like, "Oh, I'm making music now." Like that
mm-hmm.
was never like a conversation. They low key kind of found out through social media because I was just literally just popping up on people for you pages and stuff. And for some reason, my mom had TikTok and she discovered what was going on. But in the back of my mind, I always made it conscious. Like I know one, I was like, if I curse too much and my parents find this, it's gonna be a problem. So that was like number one. But then also like morally, like I never wanted to portray an image that I wasn't. I feel like with now with social media and just people locally, like imagine trying to sell music to people that know you for real, and you're rapping a completely different lifestyle than what you are. You know, it's just not sellable to people that really know you. So I was initially just thinking about people that knew me, like, because I was only playing music for people that knew me, that people that could come to my house and really listen. So I'm curating my music to people that I know are going to listen to me, which as a new artist, the only people that are going to listen to you are the people you know.
All right.
So you can't sell a fake image to people you know. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
call you out on it and it's going to be a whole nother thing. And trust me, it's people I know that are like that. And I think the purity and authenticity of music is always going to outlast the portrait that people try to paint. And that was always something that stuck with me. So it's like I can't rap about killing people because I've never killed nobody before. Like that's just not. It sounds cool, it sounds great, it sounds great, to have this big macho image of yourself. But authenticity will always win at the end of the day. That's what I believe. All my favorite artists were authentic to themselves, like my blueprint and I know this is not the popular answer no more, but we're not gonna downplay what he did for music. But Kanye was always my inspiration as an artist because came in a time where it was Jay-Z, it was big jerseys, it was street dudes that sold drugs, and Kanye came in with the pink polo and the nerd
Right.
to people, but it was real to him, and as time went on, he superseded everybody that was trying to portray an image. Like he's past all of them. So that showed me very early, like being yourself is the best factor that you have. So I always have that in the back of my mind when I am, making music and portraying an image. And I also understand like whether you like it or not, and people say it all the time, especially celebrities, oh, I'm not a role model. I'm not a role model. Once you become a public figure, you don't have that choice. People are going to follow you whether you are intending to do that or not. So I always had it back in my mind. I don't want to portray a negative image, because there are people that are influenced by what you do, whether you know it or not. People are watching. So that's always in the
Nowadays,
back
you
of my
don't even have
mind.
to go viral to be considered a role
Yeah,
model, public figure, or
literally, literally.
yeah.
Look at how many kids want to be content creators now. That's off of other content creators. That's not off of like popular people, celebrities. Celebrities didn't make this content world. These are regular people that through consistency and like being themselves and being and living in their basement every day and
They made it popular.
just
Then the celebrities just
yeah,
came.
like
Easy transition.
some of the richest people on YouTube are kids just for unboxing
Mhm,
toys.
mhm,
And once you realize that is the world, that is what people are looking at, that's the easiest job in the world. Be yourself, you know.
Mhm.
So why not make it marketable and accessible for people to see. You
Mhm.
already got to be yourself in real life. So
Exactly.
you might as well.
Right. And can't nobody beat you being you and trying to be somebody else or wear you out, right? So
Exactly.
even though you can be what you're supposed to be nowadays, right?
Right, right,
And then so
right.
they kind of make it so easy to not be authentic. But again, shout out to your parents for the foundation. Because now it sounds like you know for yourself that it's important for you to be authentic, not because of how mom and dad are gonna feel about it. And that's a pretty big deal.
Definitely.
So in your music career thus far, have you ever like felt pressure? Like I gotta do this in order to get my views up. Maybe I gotta talk a little some of that just to kind of get more of an edge to my audience. Did you ever feel pressure or tempted to not be as authentic as you are?
Not necessarily. One thing I say is probably my parents, the people I watched growing up. Kanye definitely. Confidence is everything. Like you have to go in knowing that this is gonna work. This is what I want to do. If you're still questioning yourself, this is not the industry for you, because if you don't believe yourself, there's no way somebody else is going to. It's no way somebody with that $1 million contract is going to believe you if you don't believe yourself. So that step one is believing in yourself. I never felt the pressure of like fitting into a certain space, and I feel like that was partly because of the time I was born in. I feel like my
Yeah,
generation was kind of the first generation. And once again, credit to Kanye. I feel like he started kind of the generation of being vulnerable and
mm,
being, talking about your feelings. And like that wasn't a thing. Like we was 50 Cent, DMX.
mm,
We don't talk about stuff like that. But that my generation kind of opened a whole new world
mm.
of like, it's okay. Now you got the Drakes. Now you got these people that are like really singing about their feelings and how they feel versus I'm gonna run upon this guy, or you know what I'm saying. So there was an authenticity that was brought to the forefront of music around the time I grew up. So I grew up seeing those examples of being yourself. So it was kind of easy for me to do that. Now, do I see certain things as more marketable? Definitely. And even for myself, I had to get comfortable being in front of a camera. I was like, I want to be the artist that like never does interviews that you don't see, you
Mhm.
just hear about. But realistically, in the real world, there's a million artists a day. If you don't put yourself out there,
Yeah,
you could be the greatest rapper, singer ever. If
mm,
people don't know who you are, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
Talent can only get you so far. Then
mm,
that's something that I'm still learning to this day. Like you can be the most talented person ever. If you don't put yourself out there and really do some uncomfortable things, you're not gonna make it.
yeah.
So that's something I'm still learning myself. But I guess in a way you could say I pressure myself in that way. Like, hey, you gotta shoot this video. You gotta do this. And I don't necessarily want to do that. Like, but once I get on that camera, it's gonna look like I planned this my whole life because that's what required. But as soon as they say cut, I'm running away from the camera. Like, you're not gonna see that. But I don't
Right.
want to be on camera for real. But I never felt the pressure of like, hey, this is what's popular, so I got to talk about this. Like that's never been me, and that's what I appreciate about music. Music is there's no right way to do music. There's no wrong way to do music. It's an opinion based sport. That's how I look at it. It's an
Mhm,
opinion based sport. Everything is how the consumer feels, and everybody has an audience for everything. It don't
mhm,
matter what side of the fence you're on. If you like this kind of music, like that kind of music, that's the most powerful thing about music. It brings people together and there's no boundaries to it. There's something for everybody. There's music that I can't stand that
mhm.
people love.
Yeah.
There's music that I love that people can't stand. Shout out to my
Mhm.
dad. A lot of the people I listen to now, he's like, this is not real music. Like that he's from that Stevie Wonder, like he's from that. If you don't play an instrument, you don't make music. Like he's from
Mhm,
that. So but at the same time, I also am opening to new ways to present myself in new ways. I'm always looking for something new to do, something I haven't done before, being out the box. And I never want to be confined to a certain sound or style,
Mm,
or
that's
this is the
good.
way you've been doing it, so this is how you got to do it. Like I'm always open to new ideas, and I think that's what real music and real art is. Adjusting to the times and also discovering new ways. And once again, I don't want to make this sound like a Kanye interview, but he was one of those guys where like he wasn't doing the popular thing,
Mm-hmm.
but over time, as time goes on, now it seems normal.
Mm-hmm.
Auto tune, singing the whole album, that was not popular when
At
he did it,
all.
but now everything is auto tune, everything is singing.
Mhm.
So sometimes you got to be bold and brave enough to be above the curve and be like, I know I understand what everybody's doing, but I'm just gonna do this. You know.
Mhm.
So that those are the examples that were set before me, and I just want to carry that torch and really be open because I feel like music is the one thing that can bring all kinds of people together.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So let's talk about the brand, the culture.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what's that? What's the story behind that? When did you bring that about?
Shout out to We the Culture. That was once again COVID. That was around the same time I was making music.
Okay, we the culture.
Um,
Is that what it's
We the
called?
Culture.
Okay.
Yep, We the Culture. Started in 2020. And Hampton just brought a lot of creative people together. There's a lot of people it's so funny. The whole I don't know, are you familiar with like the Hampton versus Howard, the HU
Yeah.
versus
Mhm.
HU? So that's a whole thing, right? So Hampton is known for like being bougie.
Mhm.
I'm talking about most colleges, you sweats, Crocs, not at Hampton. Girls are
Yeah.
wearing heels at 8 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, makeup done. Like that's Hampton. Like, and I didn't understand it until I went there. But yes, the stereotype is real. Hampton is a very bougie place, but it's also very creative and very artistic
Mhm.
and things like that. So I grew up around in the college that I went to. It was fashion artists. It was sports media. It was designers. It was artists. It was all kind of people. It was like a very creative hub. So when We the Culture started, we were doing podcasts, we were doing clothes, we were doing like different things, and I was just like, so how do I market this into a real thing? And I was going to school for entrepreneurship, so I'm in these business classes learning different businesses. Even my final exam, it wasn't a test. We had to present a business proposal, and we had to literally do a version of Shark Tank in front
Mhm.
of business investors. Like that was our final exam. So even learning that how to write a business proposal, 15-page paper business proposal, stuff like that. So I'm learning this stuff while I'm in college, but I'm also applying it to real life at the
Mhm.
same time. So I'm like, hey, I know all these creative people. Let's just put all this stuff together.
There
So
we
that's where
go.
we came up.
Together again.
Literally. So it's an entertainment company. I have music artists. I have designers. We do events. We do other people's events. If you have a birthday, if you have something you want to do and you just need a business consultant to figure out how to put it together, I have people for that. I have a whole staff. I have fashion designers. If you're a model, you're a new model and you're looking to book shoots, I have photographers. I have clothing brands that you can brand
Mhm.
and build. So it's all under the hub of entertainment, but there's so many entities to it. And I just feel like in the entertainment space, a lot of people that are starting out don't know where to go. They always start on their own. Even me, I started watching the engineer in real time, and I watched YouTube videos. That's how I learned how to make music. There was
Mhm.
no teacher to be like, hey, this is right,
No
this is
proof
wrong.
necessarily
You're just
that.
going through it. So I wanted to create a hub where people who have ideas, because everybody has ideas, we're all, and then they're creative people. Whether you choose to tap into that is on you. But I wanted to create a space where, like, hey, you have the idea, but you don't necessarily know how to put it forward. This is the hub. This is the place where we can work together
Mhm.
and figure out how to bring your vision to life. And then also, if your vision or your brand matches ours, you may even be a permanent part of the brand. You know,
Mhm.
so all those possibilities are endless. Um, but the group of guys that I started this with, they're all ambitious, just like me,
Mhm.
and we all are different. We all want different things, and I think that's what made the hub just make sense.
Mhm.
It just everybody has their own thing. I got
Mhm.
photographers, fashion designers, da, 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 this, that, that. So it's just like bringing it all together, and we really uh part of the brand is we really are the culture. You know, as African Americans, as Black people, we are the culture. That's a real thing, and
Mhm.
I don't like us having to go outside of ourselves to get things done. And I think a lot of times the sad reality is we do have to go outside of ourselves because a lot of things aren't professional. You know, a lot of things aren't to the standard that we want it to be, and we have to go outside. So I wanted to work on eliminating that.
Mhm.
So anybody that's interested in working, collabing with We the Culture, just understand that you're dealing with the highest level of professionalism. As far as branding, marketing, things like that, we don't play about things like that because our reputation means everything to us, and we just want to see the best product possible. Because like I said, we are very as a people, we are very creative people, and I
Mhm.
just want to see everybody at their fullest potential. So that's what We the Culture is. That's the brand we started, and it's been official since 2020, since COVID. Shout out to COVID. Like it's such a bad thing
Yeah.
because a lot of bad things happened during COVID. But
Very bittersweet time.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
definitely
Very bittersweet time. It'll definitely go down in history
for
where
sure.
some of the most tragic yet some of the most amazing things took place all at the same time,
Yeah,
simultaneously. And so I just feel there's some of us that were blessed to create and produce something during that time, even while losing, right,
yeah.
loved ones. So it's definitely a very bittersweet time. Um, so with the culture, so is that completely restricted? Like, is it for us by us, straight clear? Like,
It's not necessarily restricted.
uh,
It's just I would say it's more so it just depends on what you're going for, right? So if you have an idea as far as like, hey, I want to throw this event, like, we're open to everybody. Nobody's excluded from that,
got you. Mm-hmm.
whatever is necessary from us, we'll meet those requirements. As far as being a part of We the Culture and like being a full entity, that's where more requirements take place,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
and
That makes sense.
really digging into character and how you move and business decisions because we've had a lot of ups and downs in our business, dealing with other, brands and businesses and personalities. So I'm very cautious of who we allow into the inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as, generic business services, that is open to, everybody.
Okay. No, that kind of makes sense too,
Yeah.
because to be a part, you're aligning yourself with them, right?
Right.
As
Right.
opposed to providing a service, so that's completely different. So that makes sense. Um, what would you say was probably the most difficult situation as a musician thus far for you? What has been like the most difficult? And that could be
Hmm.
from making music to have made, produce something community wide, like in any aspect. What would you think was the most trying time thus far?
That's a good question. I think creatively there's no struggle, Creatively is it's really on you. It's on your timing. It's whenever you're ready. I think more of the struggle for me was one, getting out there, putting yourself out there and building that self-confidence. And then also, like I said, just dealing with different personalities and platforms. There's a lot of gatekeeping within the music industry. There's a lot of, okay, if you didn't get this from me, then you're not going to get to the next place.
Mm-hmm.
um there's a couple instances, and I won't get too specific, but when you move independently and you don't need certain corporations or established,
Mm-hmm.
people that have already been in that space, and you bypass that when it seems like that's the hub
Oh,
to go through to get where you're going, they don't like that too much.
yeah.
They don't like that because it's like, why didn't you need me to get where you're going so I can play a part in this story?
Mm-hmm.
And I was always a person, you got to figure it out for yourself. Nobody's coming to help you. That was always my mentality.
Mm-hmm.
you got to figure out yourself. And I feel like we've created this space where we skipped a lot of steps as far as, the typical Richmond route
Mm,
of circuits, hubs. You hear like comedians talking about going through like the
right.
what's it called? Chicklet circuit, whatever, before you get to like, the big stages, the Kevin Hart level and stuff like
Right.
that. And we just skipped a lot of steps independently. And partnering with different people and learning that you can't just accept everything, and you can't just partner with it. You can't be aligned with everything. We've had to go through those things. We've been through janky business. We've been through not getting paid what we say we're going to get paid. We've been through um, promises that were not made. I've been through situations where, and a lot of upcoming artists understand these showcases and these spaces where it's like, yeah, you could perform for free, but you got to bring 10 people. Okay,
Mm,
then you bring 10 people and those are only 2 people in there. And it's like,
mm,
if I wanted to perform for my friends, I would just tell them come to my house, you know.
mm,
So it's just like a lot of things within that space when you're starting out and it's rough, but it also builds character, and I love those moments
mm,
because what I'm learning too, because now as we the culture, we offer performance slots sometimes when we do events for new artists,
mm,
and just being patient with artists and learning like, hey, this might be their first time. A lot of artists locally have never performed before. They don't have stage presence. They're not going to interact with the crowd. They're going to be in that one spot just
right.
remembering their words.
Mhm,
um Going through those phases and learning stuff like that is been a hell of a roller coaster, to say the least.
I'm sure.
With our brand, we've promoted a lot of businesses, janky businesses that
Mhm,
we've brought. Man, I'm talking about, they send us the numbers. They're very pleased with the impact that we bring to their company, and we're not getting compensated and things
mm,
like that. But it all was a learning experience. And sometimes I feel like, especially with entrepreneurship, you just have to do it. Somebody could tell you about it all the time, but sometimes you really do have to go through
have
those
to have
things and see
experience.
for yourself. You got to see for yourself to really know, okay, this is how I'll move from now on. I will never do that again. I know what to expect now from this person. Oh, when this person says this, that's really what they mean.
Mhm.
And those things, sometimes you can't have the explanation for it. You just have to do it. So
Yeah, and
going through those
people can't
bumps and
teach you
bruises.
that.
Right.
Sometimes you kind of yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like that was the biggest thing for us. I would say these past 2 to 3 years, we've been getting a lot of offers and a lot of reaching out in conversations to where, all right, we've been through enough now, so we can see,
Right.
all
So
right, we should do this, we shouldn't do that. So that's been a journey in itself. And even in that, learning how to keep your composure, learning how
oh yeah,
to
that part. Yeah.
still stay professional when you just want to smack somebody up.
Hmm.
Though that has been the biggest thing for me. And once again, that comes from my upbringing and foundation.
Yeah.
And I know it was God in certain situations. I know that for sure. Um, so it's been a blessing. I don't complain at all about any of my journey or anything that's happened in my life, because it's all for the greater good.
Hmm.
And that's the mindset I always carry with myself, and that's part of the reason why it works, because I feel like as entrepreneurs, you have to have a positive mindset.
Hmm.
If you're a negative person, entrepreneurship is probably not for you, because you're gonna
Oh,
have a lot of down days. You're gonna have a lot of that, and if you don't see the positive in it, it's no way you're gonna last. It's gonna break you down. It's gonna beat you up.
yeah.
You
Early.
gonna have them days. So you
Hmm.
know,
That's why I say we're living in a time where entrepreneurship is pushed. It's actually force fed for real,
yeah,
um, into this amazing idea that we all should um, be a part of. Not realizing so many people not cut out for
yeah,
entrepreneurship, just mindset wise, character wise. Like, like it's just, it's really not the space for everyone. And it's not just because it's a roller coaster. It's too, you just mentioned one, composure
yeah,
alone, you know. I guess about 10 years in entrepreneurship at this point. You run into people that are beyond unprofessional. It's like, wow, like what are you doing running anything, but we in a world where anybody can be an entrepreneur, and they don't feel like they need any type of etiquette or accountability. And I also think that that's kind of what also puts people in this mental space of depression. You know what I'm saying? Pessimistic. Like all that stuff can just kind of happen when you don't understand, as we spoke about earlier on, when you don't understand and vet a situation before you get into it.
Right.
You got a lot of people quitting their job, going, I'm gonna start my own books, I'm gonna sell my own ice cream. And it's just like, you gotta make sure you checking what you getting involved in.
Right. Right. Right.
Because I know in my line of business, I see so many people come and go, and it's like, and they'll come in and shoot up, and boy, they come down just as fast as they went up, because it really
Hmm.
wasn't about longevity. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? It really wasn't about legacy. It
Yeah.
wasn't about. It was about trying to make money and have some free time. And neither one of them has anything to do with deciding to be an entrepreneur, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
Um, yeah. So shout out to you. I love what I've heard from you thus far. I was checking you
Yeah.
out. People post what they supposed to be, who they want to be, or whatever they try to be, and
Right.
sometimes I don't. I try not to even feed in too much to what I see. That's why I don't even do a lot of looking. Um, I honestly, I just don't. I think I probably shouldn't be saying this, but I think most of my vetting comes via the referral. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's because I know anybody can put anything up and portray to be something, and this type of person. And thus far, it's been going, swell. Actually, I have no regrets on any guest thus far, and I don't take these opportunities lightly. I feel like I become. I'm gonna say this. I feel like as a parent, a lot of times we think about our children having a what do we call it? A tribe, a community, right? A village, right? And I don't think we put enough emphasis on the importance of an adult having a village. Like we need a village as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we probably need one just as much as a child when we get to certain spaces in life, because the village is, the African proverb: you want to go fast, go alone; you want to go far, go together. And
Hmm.
be surprised in how far you can get just by shaking hands with the right people, right? They say your net worth is your network, right? And so
Yep.
when you understand the importance of just taking the time to get to know somebody, partner with somebody, or just share somebody, like that goes a long way. And I think sometimes we take that lightly, especially the
Yeah.
people that know us. Yeah, I say to be the
Right.
biggest truth.
Right.
Like the people that's the strangers get it. But for some reason, the people that know us don't really get that. They don't really understand that concept, or should I say, they don't want to understand it because they don't want to participate until you make it. Right? That's what
Right. Right.
they want. They want to ride the gravy train. They they don't want to be a part of that slow, empty train. They want the gravy train. And so, but shout out to you and everything that you're doing in your community, within your village, and everything that y'all doing outside of y'all village, because y'all creating villages is kind of what I'm getting from it. Um,
Definitely. Definitely.
right, and we need that. I really feel like in every aspect of profession, we need that, right? Because again, from a cultural perspective, there are other people in other communities and cultures that have that. They have those hubs, they have those
Hmm.
villages, they have
Hmm.
those relationships, and we out here fending for ourselves, and it just doesn't. It wasn't intended to be that way. That's why it doesn't work for us
Right.
to take that route. And so everything that you've explained, from your upbringing, you know what I'm saying, from your household to your roommates, you know what I'm saying, like all that's been village and community and coming together in partnership and collaboration, and that just means a lot. That means a
Yeah.
lot. So I know you'll be in here for the long haul, just because you have the right mindset, and the right attitude. Because it takes all of that. Like you can't just be talented out here no more. That doesn't really get you as far as it used to, in my opinion. And so I do have some questions prepared. And I had to, when I'm looking there, sometimes I need to make sure I mention that disclaimer. I don't know why I think I'm texting. I'm actually kind of revamping my questions. Like I said, the more I learn, the more I got to
Yeah.
tweak. And because you have such a rare, unique, beautiful experience, and tweak a lot. So that's
Yeah.
a good thing. That's a good thing. Um, you definitely sound like one of my boys. So yeah. It's a little special for me.
Yeah.
And so so here we go. I want to start off with and then some questions might end up touching on something you might have already shared,
Okay.
possibly. Um, so specifically, what lessons from church still guide your life?
Mm. It's a lot of good ones. I think the biggest one for me is I always grew up believing like your life is not your own. You know, um, you're here for a reason. You're here for a purpose. And at the end of the day, it don't matter who likes you, who doesn't like you. That's not what you're here for. You know,
Mhm.
you're here to make an impact on the world. You're here to create change in a positive way. You're here to lead by example, and whoever follows that, whoever takes from you and learns from you, that's on them. But you're not here to people please. You're not here to blend in anything like that. You're here to set the example. So that was always the biggest thing for me, and also understanding that that's not the popular way to go. That's not the trend. That's never gonna be the thing that everybody just gets on board with. There's gonna be conflict in that. There's gonna be some pushback. There's gonna be rejection from that. But
Mhm.
you can't take it personal,
Mhm.
and you got to understand that they're not rejecting you as a person.
Yeah,
They're
they
rejecting
reject
something
that.
bigger than you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's
Yeah,
good. That's so good.
yeah.
So good. I feel like we try to teach our kids is the red flag is when it's trending. The
Mm,
red flag is when it's popular, right?
mm.
Red flag is when everybody's talking about it. That's the red. How do I know? Is everybody else saying it? Is everybody else doing it? That's like because as a kid, it's like I hear you, Dad, but how am I supposed to know? Just is it whatever you? Nowadays, it's easy. Is it
It's
trending?
very easy. It's
If it's
very easy.
trending, no go. And of course, not
Yep.
absolutely everything, but that's kind of your moral compass in a sense, right? Um, okay, so you said you didn't have dreams of being a musician, and your plan was not to be an artist. But what did you dream of? Was there any dream of what I want to become and what I would like to be when I grow up?
I think for most kids, or I say for most men, for most kids, for most boys, it's always sports. Like sports is
Uh,
always the route. So I was always a basketball. Basketball was everything to me growing up. And then I quickly realized, yo, you're not gonna be that tall. You're just not gonna be 6, 7 feet. You're not gonna. That's not it. I played, so I always thought I was gonna be a basketball growing up, and then that quickly changed. And it's funny you say. I actually was interested in real estate at a very young age.
hmm,
Um, so was I'm not gonna say jealous, but I always wanted to have the shoes that other kids wore in middle school, right? And my parents were like, "Hey, I understand your style and taste, but this is the price of these shoes, right?" So I want to say it was seventh, eighth grade around that time. I convinced my dad. I was like, "Hey, if you buy me this one, I think it was a Kobe shoe at the time. If you buy me this one Kobe shoe, you will never have to buy me shoes again in your life." He was like, "Well, how are you gonna do that?" I'm like, "Just listen to me. You buy me this one shoe, you will never buy me shoes again." He bought me that Kobe shoe. I sold them on eBay, and I was making money ever since. Like I was flipping shoes on eBay every single week as a middle schooler.
hmm,
Like he made my account for me. I was like, Dad, take me to this store downtown. I'm gonna buy these three shoes. You don't gotta pay nothing. You just gotta drive me there. I'm gonna buy these three shoes. I'm gonna sell them online on the account you made me, and then I'm gonna buy even more shoes. So that's how I got into that, and then it turned into real estate and learning about real estate. So um, yeah, that was always that was always my thing. Like I don't know that entrepreneurship that I knew I was gonna do. So
Mm-hmm.
once I learned basketball wasn't a thing, it was like entrepreneurship. That was like the next thing for me. Like
Mm-hmm.
you gotta learn how to provide for yourself. And I always liked nice things, but I also knew that they cost money. How are you gonna make that money? You know?
Right.
So whether it was just selling people on a dream or convincing them like the shoes were cooler than they were or whatever, I was just gonna figure out a way, to get the things I wanted out of life.
Mm-hmm. No, that's actually important. And I know it's just a trending thing now, entrepreneurship, but I think that introducing the idea of why it's important, not just to do. Because I feel like now it's like, just do it, quit the job, nobody's gonna be pushing this dream. It's just, first of all, understanding the why. Why is this important? And when you
Right, right.
understand that you want to be able to be self-sustained, you want to be able to build something for yourself. Like when you start understanding all of those things, now put some thought into places to what that could look like.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
that's the biggest to me, that's the biggest misconception is like, oh, I want to leave my 9 to 5 so I don't have to work. When in reality, real entrepreneurship is the most work you're ever gonna do. That's
the
that's
truth.
way more work than a 9 to 5.
You don't get off.
Like you tell me
It's
a guaranteed check from 9 to 5 versus you don't know when you're gonna get paid.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So people leave their job thinking entrepreneurship is easier when it's literally the hardest thing you'll ever have to do.
It is probably the absolute hardest thing you'll probably ever do in your life.
Yeah,
Unless you're in
literally.
heavy construction or something where you're gonna be breaking your back. But other than
Right.
that, and you're probably not into farming, so that can't compete, right? But yeah, it's definitely a complete misconception. It's funny because at one particular point I had thought about that. Yeah, I'll teach you entrepreneurship. That's first I'm gonna wait till I get about 5, 10 years on my bed. And I teach you real estate. And my daughter mentioned a few times, my husband, my son, we all talk about. I said, but you know what? That's just what I do. That ain't who I am. And because it's such a misconception, I don't want to be a part of that.
Right.
Because even real estate
Right.
is becoming a thing. When people sell you, you got to get my license, get my license. And they get a license and they ain't sold a house, they ain't bought a house. You just find yourself spending money as opposed to making money. That's okay. That's how the Wi-Fi do us. We ain't got that much more time. We'll be back in a moment. He'll be right back. We almost done. They're good this evening. On time, anyway. He'll be right back. Thank you for y'all patience each and every Tuesday. 7 p.m. East. Next week is actually, is it next week? Yeah, I think next week I'm actually going to do a live on a Monday versus Tuesday. I try to be flexible with my guests that are unable to do Tuesday 7 p.m. So next week is actually going to be Monday at 7 p.m. That's going to be a good one as well. I think all my interviews will be good. I'd be excited to meet new people and share their stories. What if his phone died? I would have got back quicker. Yeah, please like, share, and subscribe. I've been getting a lot of anonymous referrals. So I'm very much open to the anonymous referrals.
There
Okay.
we go.
All right. No worries. We
That
almost. I
connection.
said I've been doing good on time this evening. I don't be so bad on time. I've been doing good this evening. But yeah, so I think I was going on a little rant about teaching about something that's just I don't want to be part of that narrative. You know what I'm saying? Because people don't. It's just too many people out there making it like it's just so simple when it's just not. So
Yeah.
next question. Okay. What challenges did you face as a young man that people may not know about? A challenge that you faced as a young man that people may not know about.
Let me think. Mm, I could think of one. And I say this to say, shout out to my family that I do know. I have a very big family, very, very big family. Aside from, the church assignment, I think my family removed me from where I was because of how crazy my family was.
Mm.
And it's funny because like the start of high school, my mom told me, "Hey, make a Facebook." And I wasn't on Facebook. Is not as a kid. You're like Facebook is for the old people. Like it's
Right.
for the old, you know. But I made one, and I kid you not, the day I made one, 70 requests. Like, oh, I'm your cousin.
Mm.
Oh, I'm your uncle. People I've never talked to in my life.
Oh wow.
Um, and I vividly remember my uncle had a Super Bowl party back in New Jersey, and I love my uncle, and he had a girlfriend at the time. She was white, and she was saying words that she shouldn't say, you know, around. And I was just so conflicted as a kid, and I'm just like, why are you letting this happen? Like, why are you? And I learned more, And as a kid, like you don't know all racist things that go on, but you kind
Right.
of have an inclination when
Yeah,
it's
you
like
know
when
enough.
it's
Hmm.
when it's there. Um, so that was like my introduction to like how crazy my family was, which
right,
there's much deeper stories that I don't even want to get into
right, right.
learning that. But I think that was a turning point for me of like realizing like, okay, these are people that you love, people that you grew up around, but that doesn't mean they're good people, you know? So that was a turning point for me just of like reality. I feel like I said, everything goes back to the foundation. Very sheltered, very, I'm not gonna say oblivious to the world, but like there's just certain things that you don't even know exist
Hmm.
until it happens. So seeing things like that, seeing somebody get pistol whipped in front of me, like that was what? I thought this only happened in movies, like um, certain situations I was around, specifically with my family, and that's the part that I think really taught me lessons too, because like seeing it may be somebody or maybe it might be a complete stranger, which is still traumatizing to a certain point. But it's
Hmm.
like I don't know them, like But when it's people you really know as a kid, that really changes your way of viewing things. And so it was a situation with me as a kid, being touched inappropriately. So things like that really do, even like you don't notice it at the time because you're
Right.
still you're still moving on with life. You're still, just going about it. But as you get older and realize, hey, this is actually kind of wrong, or this is, you should have never been exposed to that, or you should have never, um, it really makes you look back and reflect, like, these things could have, made or break some people,
Hmm.
and learning how to move through that, grow through that, and really understanding that that was a big thing for me was blood doesn't always mean family.
Hmm.
That was a big thing for me. And I was always a person like, I want to be with my family. I want to be around my cousins and my uncles and my aunts. And then as you get older, you hear why you're not around them. It's like, makes sense. That makes sense. They're just not the best group of people, So that was a big thing for me in high school. Like, just figuring out like why is my family so big, and why do I only know my immediate family? That was a big thing for me. But through time, you understand why, and that that definitely was the big one for me.
Yeah, that's a big struggle that's not spoken about enough. And I put that on us as parents.
Yeah.
I mean, we may say, "Oh, Uncle so and so, he this," or "Aunt so and so, she that," and leave it at that, as opposed to like, how do you feel about Nat saying, Nat is
Hmm.
in great grandma's house? How does that make you feel knowing that your uncle lives around the corner and you know. And I think a lot of, I could only speak. I mean, because I mean, it's a lot to the point, but it's like I can see how much of a struggle that is. I had that struggle young. I'm sure our kids had that struggle young and as older adults, because it's a good thing you see and realize and understand it. Some people grow up and see it, understand it, and still want to be a part of it. Why? Because that's Uncle so and so, and that's cousin so and so, and
Hmm.
and then later on realize, dang, because then what you were trying to be sheltered from, you get bit, and then you realize, oh, dang, I see why they didn't have me around that person. I can see that being a struggle, and definitely one that we don't like to revisit with the children. We really don't. Um, they say blood makes you related, right? But it's loyalty that makes you family.
Yep.
And I think
Yep.
sometimes young, you don't understand. All you know is family, family. You don't think about no loyalty and
Yep.
all that. That's cousin, that's sister, that's brother, that's uncle, and that's it. And it's unfortunate that culturally we're at that space where that becomes so many of our realities, where you only know immediate because you're sheltered from the others because of what the elders know that the child don't.
Right.
Yeah. Uh, if you can, I think you kind of struggle looking back on that first song, but looking back on your first song, can you are you able to tell where you were mentally and emotionally doing this first song you wrote? If somehow you
Yeah.
play that back lyrically, does that kind of show you where you were in life at that time?
Yeah, I think at that time I was really just ambitious. I was really just trying to figure out like how to set myself apart. That was my biggest thing at that time. Like I said, I already had this stigma of like local artists. So I was like, how do I not look like them? Like that was always my biggest thing. Like what could really set me apart to where people don't look at me how I look at other local artists, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and I just knew that if I'm going to play something out to the public, it has to be to a certain standard, to a certain quality level. You know, I didn't want it to sound like I was just in my apartment and trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
Like I really put put a lot of money towards it and a lot of time towards it, and it took a what like no lie, I probably recorded maybe 200 songs before my first song came out.
Mhm.
But we were in the studio for 5 6 hours a day making
Yeah,
5 6 songs a day.
mhm.
So and I still have them on my phone to this day. Like it's so many. That's part of the reason why I probably don't got no storage now. It's so much music that will never see the light of day. I have thousands of songs, and maybe I only have maybe 30 songs out.
Mhm.
Maybe that might even be a stretch. Um, but yeah, I just remember at that time I was just very like confident and figuring out how to set myself apart from anybody else that I knew was making music personally, and then also like how to set myself apart from just that local stigma that a lot of Richmond artists have. Which, and I say this to say, like, there's a lot of good talent in Richmond. It's a lot of people that make good music, and they're very in the box of local artist mentality.
Mhm.
And like I said, talent can only get you so far, but you can't treat yourself. And this is advice to artists: you can't treat yourself like a local artist. You can't treat yourself like the environment you're brought in. And it's all subjective. Like if that is your goal, because some people's goal is really to be known where they're from. So you also can't force a dream on somebody that doesn't want it either.
Right, that's true.
So some people just want to be known as that. But if you really want to be out there as an artist and known, you can't treat yourself that way. And that's something I had to learn really early is like you have to treat yourself like you're above certain boxes that people put you in. But the
Mhm.
only way to do that is the narrative that you set. You can't convince nobody. You have to set that narrative for people to
Gotta set that
follow,
tone.
you know?
Yeah.
Yep. So that was one thing I always from the first song I had that mentality. Like I have to set the standard for what I want to be viewed as and what I want to be known as, you know?
Mhm. Is music therapy for you?
In a way, yes, definitely, definitely. Most of my therapy music probably won't see the light
The
of day.
light of day.
Won't see the light of day. There are some days where I'm very strategic with music. Like I want to make a song that brings this vibe, brings this energy. And
Mm,
then there's also days where I'm like, this is just how I'm feeling. This
mm,
is where I'm at in life. This is the conversation I just had, and it just turns into a song. Um, but I learned, I learned maybe like a year or two that sometimes singing or making music about the certain situation you're in could keep you in that situation.
mm-hmm.
Like I, like so
You
it's
talked
like
about it earlier.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So it's like um finding the balance of like, okay, yes, you can make music about where you're at, but I'm more into bringing the what's the solution side of it.
Mm,
This is where you're at, which is perfectly fine. Being vulnerable is that's what most people relate to, because it's something, even if it's not the specific situation, you can relate to that feeling, or but I also want to be on the side of like, okay, this section of the song might be about that feeling, but what is the solution to that? What is the outcome of this feeling that you have? Are you coming out of this as a better person? Are you coming out of this like, I need help?
right.
What is the outcome? I feel like a lot of songs leave cliffhangers for people, and it's
Very
like
much.
I'm just in this mode. So now whenever I'm sad, I'm gonna listen to the song.
Mm-hmm.
But where are the songs where it's like, I'm sad, this is how I started. How am I gonna make myself happy again?
Right, right,
So that's kind of the mentality I go into when it even is those real life songs where it's like you that they aren't the best, because every day isn't positive, and
right.
that's also something I struggle with too. Like I make a lot of positive music that makes you feel good, but that's not every day for everybody. But it's also like, okay, if I am feeling bad, do I want to continue listening to sad music, or do I want to listen to something that's going to bring my spirit up? So it's kind of just that balance of that.
Hmm. That's actually was going to be my next question. So, what message are you trying to send through your music?
Yeah, I don't want to necessarily say I have a message other than being yourself. That is the biggest
Mm,
message that I think any artist anywhere should be portraying, no matter what it is. Just be yourself. I don't like projecting how I view the world, or the feelings I have on anybody else. Because, like I said before, people are watching. They are influenced by the things we put out into the world, and my message is always going to be yourself, because everybody's different in their own way.
right,
And for me to say this is how you should be, or you should follow after me, is coming off as if I have the answers. And I'm the
right,
first person to tell you I don't have the answers. I have the way that this has worked out for my life, and you can take things from it. You can take, because I learn from everybody. I learn from a billionaire to the person on the street asking for money. You can learn from anybody. So I try not to box myself into that, but I also want to leave a mark of like, hey, we need some positivity somewhere in this. Like I'm just personally not a negative person. Like
right.
it could be the worst thing in the
So even
world.
that's part of being yourself, the positivity aspect, because that's who
Right.
you are. Mhm.
Exactly. And I think the more you lean into your feelings, the more you are as a person. So you may be feeling bad, but if you lean more into that side of you, it's just going to get darker. I want to present resolutions to that feeling. I feel like my generation is very, very tapped into their emotions, very, very much so, to the point where they're doing things to themselves that they shouldn't be doing. Um, you know, so I want to provide something that gets them out of that space. And people underestimate how big music plays a part in that. I think that is a very music is a soundtrack to life. That's how I view music. Like there's nowhere you can go and not hear music, you know,
Mhm.
other than if you're in the library. But you're in a store, whether you know or not, while you grocery shopping, there's music playing.
Mhm.
There's every commercial, there's music playing. Imagine watching a movie with no music. You wouldn't watch the movie. You don't
Right.
understand how important music is because you're watching a movie. I'm not listening to music. I'm watching a movie. But music plays a part, in that. So it's something that's just a part of every human life that we can't escape. And I'm very aware of certain entities that use music as a weapon,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a very real thing that people, average consumer, is not going to realize about themselves. But when you are subjecting yourself to certain things and certain sounds, you don't know it, but it's working against you. You know. So I want to provide that other side of it, and I think that's my biggest goal and my message to the world is like there's always a positive side to things. There's always something to look forward to in life, and I just want to be the soundtrack to that.
Mm-hmm. Good for you. Keep doing that. There's this several interviews back. I was sharing this story. The story was really created as a way of trying to pull from studies of how music changed children specifically, right? And how specific this generation what that transition looks like, right? In this particular story that I shared, it talked about how this kid in this two-parent household in the suburbs, went from, honor roll student, joyful, loving, outgoing, all this and that, and then all of a sudden he starts gaming. The headphones go on, the hood goes on, all black is now in the attire,
Hmm.
never come out the room anymore, da 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 da, right? And that whole thing was to just show you that this is actually really actually happened in this fashion. And it's not just music, it's not just gaming, it's both of them. But the real power too is the headphones that's always on, right?
Mm.
And then the hood
Mm.
goes over. So it was very symbolic and it was very subliminal, but it was very powerful and profound because that's what you see,
Hmm.
you know.
Hmm.
And so the whole idea of where I don't want my kid in the street is no longer, I'm not gonna say a factor, but that even gotta be revisited. Because now the kid in the street is now the kid in the room that don't come out,
Yeah. Yeah.
to play, to talk, to nothing, right?
Hmm.
And so I'm sharing that to say, we didn't get too far into it, but it's just this magic, man. This stuff is real magic, and it's actually manifesting with or without your permission. And we as adults are even subject to it,
Yep.
right? To the point where none of us realize what it's doing until it's already done whatever it's doing to you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now you wonder
Right.
why you're reacting the way you react. You wonder why
Yep.
you're so agitated, so irritated, so mean, and so nasty, and so this and that. Not realizing in that particular story is the headphones is always on, the hood is always on, whereas now you're confined to the space this music is putting you in.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
um, it was a very moving, powerful, emotional thing that I read. And the guy read it, he was like, wow, man. I was like, that's a real thing. This wasn't about no particular person's life. This was just trying to put it in a storytelling fashion to
Right.
show you the power of music. And, people think about Dr. Dre beats heads, this person. It's like, I get it. Shout out to all the, power money moves they making. But these are tools now that are being used, and they're putting our kids in some very dark spaces, and that they don't want to come out of because now
Yeah.
they think it's their comfort zone.
Yep.
They think it's therapy. I'm sorry, I can go on for days assessing the space. You know what I'm saying? They really think that this is no, I feel better when I'm this way. No, I want to be alone. No, I don't want to go. You know what I'm saying? They convince themselves that this is a space, not realizing that it has more to do with the tempo and you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying, and the
Hmm.
level and how your chakras are shifting. And we're not even talking about the lyrics at this time. Like all
Yeah.
this is already done before the
Yep.
lyrics come across, and now the lyrics
Hmm.
is
Right.
and so it's just
Right.
a, and so thank you for understanding the importance of your music and how you put it out and deliver it because it goes back to that role model thing, man. I hear what you're saying, and it's an art and you this and that, but you're persuading someone somewhere with the
Yep.
lyrics, right? I'm making good time. I don't want to mess that up. Okay, let's see where we at now. See, it's all aligned. Now my and that's my next. Do I need to ask? I kind of feel like we touched on it, but yeah, I'm gonna ask it just to get your take on it. So, you think that rap music influences the culture or reflects the culture?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I want to say, I want to say it reflects. I want to say it really does reflect. It does influence. I think the answer is both.
Hmm.
But I want to lean more towards reflecting because the music that we say, influences the people. They're real people making that music, but they were influenced by something. You know what I'm saying? So it's a long cycle, that just repeats and reinvents itself, and it just is introduced to a new audience. But it's the same formula. This is not anything new since the beginning of time. If even if you believe in God, you understand that Lucifer was,
Yeah,
music in charge of music. So it's been a
yeah,
thing forever,
yeah.
but um I do think there was a shift, and I'll just speak specifically to rap because that's the genre that I study. But around the '80s, the NWA era, that's when like rap kind of shifted. It turned from like the message to a whole new attitude era of rebellion, same time as like rock music and all these other genres. I was like, wait, we don't care what the adults are talking about. We're gonna go this way, this path, So it became as like a cool, trendy thing, but now this is like real life. Now you have to make music like this, and there's a bigger conversation behind that with
Oh,
corporations and
yeah,
how they used black music to influence a certain narrative and put a certain culture on, you know, African Americans and black people and things like that. That I don't even want to get too deep into that.
yeah.
but I think overall, to answer the question, I think it works hand in hand. But I want to say that as much as like we do like to throw it on, the artists that are portraying these things, they were influenced by their lifestyle and how they were brought up. And um you know I can only blame the artist so much because that's really the life that they knew, you know
I was about to say it goes back to being you, right?
that and a
They're
lot
not
of lot
portraying;
of
they're actually
right, right.
speaking what they lived or live. Hmm.
Right. And even the artists that weren't living that way, they knew somebody that really lived like these are real life situations, even if it's not the artist portraying them.
Right.
What I would say is the artists made things look a certain way, made things look cooler than what it is. When in reality, like those things aren't cool at all. And anybody that's been in real life situations understands the difference. Most people that are influenced by rappers have probably never lived that life, because when you actually live that life, that is not a lot of joy that comes with that. It's a lot of depression. It's a lot of
Yeah.
yeah, sacrifice. It's a lot of regret that comes with that. So you can always tell the difference between somebody that's like really been there, because even if you're rapping about those things, which is totally fine because you're rapping about your life, but you're not looking at it as an aspect of like this is cool. You're looking at it as like an aspect of reflection, and this is how I
Yeah, and
got
being
got out of
creative.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's always a difference between the two. You can tell who glorifies it versus who is like really speaking from real experiences.
Hmm.
And I think you should never um ignore parts of your life that happen. Like if that really happened
Right.
to you, you shouldn't just like play it off because your life is better. But you should also, like I said, that balance. Like if you're gonna portray a negative story, please offer like the way out of it at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta show the other side of it. For people to know it's real, and also for people to know that there's better out there. You can't portray it as like this is the end all be all. I'm gonna die this way. Like no,
Right.
there's always a better way. So yeah, I think that's a very very deep question, but yeah, I'll lean towards more that side though.
So, what motivates you to keep going when nobody's watching?
Mm. I think myself, I'm the hardest on myself. I don't think anybody could be a bigger critic of me than me. That's how I view things. everything to me can always be better. You can always strive for more. I'm never satisfied with anything that I do. But that's just like the competitive nature in me, and just the motivation to keep going. Um, I think that like even it's so funny because like a lot of early music that I put out, people are like, oh, I like this, or this sounds really good. And I'm like, man, I can hear like this key is off. I can hear that. I can hear the reverb is not all the way. I can hear the effects. But like these are things like the average person would not even hear. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just those little things and just being like the hardest critic on myself. But at the same time, um, what also keeps me going is just I feel an obligation to lead the way for the generation after me. Like I said, once you go into this space, like whether you like it or not, you're a role model. People are watching, you know.
Mhm.
And I always want to provide that path of like, hey, this person did it. He did it his way, and if he can do it, I can do it. That's always because the people I look up to, that's how I view them. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like a Kanye or even like um some of the people that I know like locally that started their own businesses and like um things like that. Like I know them personally. So knowing where they came from and seeing them do something with themselves, it motivates me in a different way. So I know if I'm motivated by that, then the people that are watching me are gonna be
Mhm.
motivated by what I do. So that's always a factor. And then I just I don't I don't see myself doing anything else. Like no joke when I say this, like every night I go to sleep, it's something involving music in my dreams. Every single night. Every single night. And a lot of things in real life align to where it's like, okay, this is a confirmation. I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
What's it
You know what I'm
doing?
saying? So it's also things like that to where like even hear my mom talk about how like I didn't want to go to children's church because I want to play the guitar, like in church, like stuff like that. Like everything in my life just aligned that certain way to where it's like I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So that above all else motivates me the most for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
See that? Um, what fears do you rarely talk about?
Fears. I think the biggest fear is for me is failure. That's the biggest fear for me. Because I know my potential and I know um what it takes to get to where I want to go.
Mhm.
Um, don't get me wrong, there's always times where you fall short. There's always times where you could have been better. But just a complete failure of like, uh, man, I'm just the lowest of the low. I can't do nothing with this. Everything I work towards, I put so much into this, and all this is just going downhill. Like that's my biggest fear, and also my biggest motivation. Um, outside of that, just fears in general. Let me think. Um, yeah, outside of failure, I don't really have too many other fears. I think I've been through and seen a lot in life.
Mhm.
It's been a lot of different scenarios to where I probably was fearful at that time, but it's like it happened.
Mhm.
So now it's like I'm past it now. Like I'm prepared for everything, and I also understand when you are living with a purpose, there are attacks that will come
Oh yeah.
that are not necessarily in the world we see.
Right.
Um,
Good.
so I was also taught that as a young age too. Like because you're living in purpose, you're gonna get attacked over it.
Mhm.
Over it. There are entities that don't want to see you in that space, and just being prepared for that as well. Like there are a lot of, and I'm sure you can relate. There are a lot of opportunities that come before you, and then something crazy happen. Your car break down, or you're something crazy happened to where you can't make this appointment or you can't do that, and it's like you know what that is. Honestly, you know what that is. So, but that's also I think my biggest fears are also my biggest confirmations. That
Mhm.
like, yep, yep, you're scared of this. Yep, let's do it. I'm that kind of person. Like, oh,
Mhm.
this is what you're scared of. Okay, let's get over this right now. Like that's my thing. Like I'm big on like I don't even like I don't believe in necessarily resolutions or whatever, but I did make one for myself this year of like any excuses I have for my goals, I'm gonna eliminate. So fear is one of those things. Like anything I'm scared of shouldn't be a reason why I'm not doing what I need to do. And if it is a reason why, I gotta eliminate it. Like what is stopping me, figuring that out, and then instantly just figuring it out. You know. So
I
that
don't think we realize how crippling fears are. Fears are actually crippling. You can
yeah.
find yourself so fearful of something that you're running from it your whole life.
hmm hmm And you don't even know, you don't even realize like that fear is literally once you get over that, you're gonna be right where you need to be. Right where you need to be. So it's like you just gotta go through it. You just gotta go through it sometimes. And I really do believe in like just facing things head up no matter how uncomfortable it is. And that comes to relationships with people, conversations that you don't want to have. Like, I've always been that person of like addressing it rather than just holding it in and like just letting it play out or just never addressing it at all. I've always been that person like, let's figure this out so that I never have to think about this again.
But you
I
know that goes
hate,
hand in hand though. That's why you're that
yeah,
all that same guy that wants to just okay, that's a fear, okay, let's go face it. So it's
yep,
that same guy. And that's
yes,
why you find the people that run from their fears, run from confrontation, run from
hmm
uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
it's the same hand in hand. And I want to share this because it's timely. And so my husband and I, the youngest, were talking the other night, and fear came up,
mm,
right? And I don't personally subscribe to the idea of fear, but I understand the notion of it, right? And so we ended up talking about something that's ages old, and talked about the middle boy, and we were somewhere Hershey Park, like something. And he was like on roller coaster, right? And he was looking at that roller coaster, boy. You'd have thought that he was gonna lose his life. I mean, the fear, and he wasn't a child. He was like,
right,
I think he was in high school. Yeah, I think he was at the master. And he looked the way he looked up at that roller coaster, and my husband was like, and me being mom, I'm like, he said, oh no, you getting on it. I said, boy, the boy about to piss his pants. We talking about that night. He said, see, here's the thing. Talking to the youngest boy, he said it became no longer about the roller coaster once I saw how fearful he was. It was about this fear that he
hmm
don't understand, don't exist. How you afraid of roller coasters that you've never been on? Is not subjected to fall apart and keep, you know what I'm saying? Like you're not gonna
right,
die. That's something that's typical. And so and this is just a lesson to the younger boy. He was like, it had nothing to do with a roller coaster. He said the once he said I saw it, and once I saw how fearful he was, I made him get on it because
hmm
that was a life lesson that you need to face whatever fear it is as soon as you able. If you can deal with it now, deal with it now, or it'll follow you. And we was just talking about that like 2 days ago.
yeah.
And he was looking like I said, yeah, because he was, and I'm sitting there like, leave that boy alone. He don't want, he didn't explain that to him, so I'm not going to act like I knew. I didn't. All I know at the end of it, he was like, see, of course he get all smiling. He got
See?
all smiling. He was like, see, I did that to show you that
Yep.
what you was feeling wasn't even real,
hmm hmm
And so I just thought that was just timely because fear, the thought of fear is very real.
Yeah.
The idea of it is actually not for the most part. You know
Mm,
what I'm saying? Because a
mm.
lot of things that we're afraid of aren't things we've ever tried. Like most people
Right.
ain't, you
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like it's most times it's something I ain't never really experienced.
Right. Right.
I ain't heard no
And
stories about it. Ain't
yeah.
nobody told me nothing about it. All I know is for me at this moment, that's intimidating.
And that's what I love about fear. Like how you said, he was smiling at the end. Like how you feel after. It's like I was tripping over that. That's what I was
Yeah.
tripping over. That ain't nothing. That
Yeah.
ain't nothing. But it goes to what I was saying earlier. Like sometimes you have to go through these things to really understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And because you don't know what it is, you don't understand it, that creates that fear,
Yeah.
just not, it's more so of just not knowing.
Yeah,
you
the
know
unknown. Mm-hmm.
you want to go into things knowing like, all right, I know what to expect, I know what to do. And just the whole role of entrepreneurship in itself, a lot of people are fearful of that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like you really just got to go into it.
Mm-hmm.
But once you come out of it, it builds that confidence up.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
now when your son goes back, he's like, "This the first ride I want to get
He's
on." You
like,
know what I'm
man, I'm going
saying?
all that. We want all of
Exactly.
them.
Exactly. Right. 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 So that's the beautiful thing about fear is like going through it because it fear builds confidence. Fear it the more you're afraid of something once you overcome it, it's like yo
The more
now
secure you
you can't
feel.
tell me nothing. So
So that's a powerful thing.
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try not to hold you too much long. Let's say I'm gonna do this thing called you finish the sentence.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll start it and then you finish it. Okay. Our culture needs more.
Our culture needs more examples. Our culture needs more examples of positivity. Our culture needs more examples of independence. Um, I think those are two big ones for me. Positivity, that goes without saying. But independence, speaking on like our culture needs more independence as far as not leaning towards resources that have been used before. And by that I mean outside of our culture. Um, Most people that we see in our culture that are successful have used things outside of our culture to get where they're going.
Mhm.
When and we call that success, right? But I think the definition of success can be altered or changed when we are reaching within ourselves instead of going outside of ourselves. I think if more people went that route as far as independence and partnerships within ourselves, and I know that's a hard topic because a whole nother aspect of that is we got to be professional for us to work with each other. But once we get past that and we are at a professional level, tapping it more in within our culture and in ourselves, that's definitely what the culture needs to see more of independence and figuring out on our own. And I believe as a culture and as a people, we have every single thing we need.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
people will say we don't have it. We need to go outside for this. We need to go outside for that, but somewhere, even if they did reach to outside sources, now they have it.
Yeah.
So there's still no excuse for why we don't reach within ourselves. 'Cause somebody has it. How they got it,
Right.
I don't even care about at this point. But moving forward, we can reach within ourselves. I think the culture needs more independence.
Definitely. I totally agree. The lesson God keeps teaching me is
The lesson God keeps teaching me is to trust in Him. Trust in Him. I fully subscribe to that. I don't take credit for my life. Um, I don't take credit for most of the things I do. Like, and I'm talking about the smallest things, which really isn't even small, but just the fact of waking up. You
mhm,
didn't do that on your own. Like, you didn't just decide, hey, you didn't tell your body I'm gonna wake up. Like that. I don't believe in that. So just even when it comes down to like these simple, basic living needs,
mhm,
that requires trusting God. And then like I said, everything in my life has never been by accident. The people I've met, the rooms I've been in, there's been a lot of situations where like, yo, I don't need to be here. I'm gonna leave, but I stayed and I met this person. Now I'm over here. And now I'm doing that, and I just never took the credit for any of that stuff. I think the trusting God is the only reason why I'm here at this point. So that is definitely the lesson that I'm taught every single day I'm living. So
mhm. When people hear your name, you hope you remember. When people hear your name, you hope they remember.
when people hear my name, I hope they remember. mm, I hope they remember the impact. I hope that they remember the mark I left. And that's also something that I'm very cautious of too. Like, by the grace of God, you got 100 years, but most people don't even make it to 100. So, you're on limited time and limited space. It's just about what you do while you're here, you know. So I want to make sure that people remember me for the mark I leave, that positive energy, that good time, that good interaction. Um, just leaving a good mark in any way I can help society as a whole. I feel like that's my obligation. That's my duty to really just, you know, be a positive light in people's lives. And a lot of the times, it's so funny because I was talking to my mom about it. She's like, a lot of your friends, they aren't the best kind of people. But I'm like, maybe I'm the friend that they need, to keep them, going from, wherever that's kind of always kind of been my role in people's lives, like, bringing that balance to their life. So that's always the impact I want to leave on earth, because you never know when it's your time.
Right, for sure. Too many young people are influenced by.
Social media. Too many people are influenced by social media. These are lifestyles that we see that 9 times out of 10 aren't even real. You know, we're talking about, um, you know, the list goes on and on. I
Yeah,
don't
I
even think I have
said
to get
that's
fully
the
deep
full.
into that.
Mhm.
But it's people that go on. Let's say they go out of the country one time out of the year, but they take pictures throughout the year. You would think they're always traveling, and they just taking pictures from that one trip, and they just posting them at different times. You never know. You never know how people are living their lives, and I think, especially with, I think it started with my generation, but definitely the generation under me, the COVID babies.
Mhm.
Like, it's a whole all they know is online. They don't even know real interaction. And I'm on the tail end of that.
Yeah,
I'm a 90s baby, like, by this much.
true.
But the kids under me, like, social media is like, it's everything to them. It's everything to them. So yeah, my advice to them: don't believe nothing you see online. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care how much proof you have. I promise most of the things that are online are for you to see. They're planned out. But the real life and the story behind it is probably not what's shown.
Um, the best advice I've ever received was.
Believe in yourself. That's the best advice I ever received. I hold on to it to this day. I can't even say at the time I really fully understood what that even meant.
Mm,
Like, it sounds like a good statement, but like, what does that really mean? Like, when you really break it down, believing in yourself, for me, it first starts with having a plan.
mm.
What is it, like, believing in yourself to do what? What is
Right.
your plan?
Do what?
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have some kind of plan to even believe in yourself. And I say that because having a plan means that you form something in your mind that you think you can do. So that even in that, forming the plan is believing in yourself, because you wouldn't plan something that you know you couldn't do. Like, if I
Right.
plan to fly a plane right now, I know I couldn't do that. So it's not a plan I would have for myself. But um, you know, making that plan in your mind is step one, and then actually going through with it and building that confidence up. That's the best thing that everybody can do for themselves. I think um, a lot of the reason why the world is what it is because they don't believe in themselves. They believe something else that somebody else told them about themselves, and it goes down the spiral of where a lot of people are today. But when you believe in yourself, that you form your own world, your own opinion. You form Nobody knows you like you.
Right.
So I can project all these things on you, and if you're not strong minded, you'll start believing them. But when you have that belief in yourself, people can tell you whatever about yourself. You still gonna believe what
Right.
you believe about yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The culture will be healthier if.
The culture will be healthier if we support the culture. Um, I think showing up for each other is very important. The visibility, we already see we have the power to influence the world. We know that for a fact. We know that for a fact, but we need to redirect that into our actual culture. Um, and even like the word culture, and like my brain, obviously, we the culture, but even the word culture gets thrown around a lot. Like, what does culture really mean? Um, Culture to me is like the real authenticity of who you are, your origins, what you stand for, what you believe, like the roots of and the making of you, you know. Um, and some people, associate culture with, a race, or people associate the culture with a style or stuff like that. So it really just depends on what you view as a culture. When I say the culture, I believe the culture is the people with that certain mindset and ability to work together with each other. Culture for me is more so like a community, like people that work together towards a goal, support each other's goals. That is the culture. That is the hub. When I speak on the culture, like I said, people have different definitions of culture and things like that. But um, I think the culture um, does more good when it invests in itself, when it turns towards itself for help, when it pours
We
back
have the
into
proof of
itself.
that, right? We've always
Very
had
much so.
that. We've always had
Very
that.
much so. Very much so. And I will say, like, um there have been times where, outside forces have tried to destroy that, and that's where it turns into, people giving up, and like, okay, they destroyed this, so now we about to just go our separate ways, where some people want to get revenge, some people want to forgive, some people want to, and it just creates this whole divide, and that's what kind of started, all the different entities that we have now. But we do know, we do have an understanding of the power, like you said, of what happens when we do, tap into that culture. And I think that that's what we need to get back to, just investing in itself, you know
Right.
and like I said, that comes with a whole layer of things. Professionalism is like top of the list for me. I
Yeah.
cannot stand unprofessionalism when you're trying to promote, a
Yeah.
brand, or trying to bring people together. You can't look to that, because there's people outside of your culture that are very professional,
Mhm.
and people tend to go towards those routes when you're not, so
And
you
because
don't
of
even. Yeah, right. Exactly.
because of
Exactly. You don't even want to provide that as an option. You want to keep everything in house, and I think that's how you grow and get bigger.
Mhm. I agree. Which of your song means the most to you? If you had, I know you probably have many.
Mm.
Is there one particular song that means the most to you?
Yeah, this song that me and my roommate actually put out together. So when I first started making music, me and my roommate, we made everything together. Like Tygo and Wavy JC, even if you look on Apple Music, like my early stuff is always gonna have Wavy JC on attached to it, even if he's not on the song. But we made a song called New Year, and it was like the new year. I think it was 2021 when we dropped that song. But we were living in Hampton, and he was very close. So we met. We that was my first friend when I moved to Richmond, when I
Oh,
was in middle school. My first friend, like, and we just. I think I can't even remember because it was so long ago, but I want to say like we bonded over, we like the same basketball team, which was not a popular basketball team in this area. I think
mm,
most people in Richmond probably like DC, like the Wizards, or they like the Lakers, or like the popular teams. But we both liked the Miami Heat, which was like very rare,
mm,
So I was like, "Yep, this my friend." He is it's the only other Miami Heat fan I know. So we got cool. That was a little backstory. But New Year, we were living in Hampton, and I just remember waking up to hearing screaming, and I was just like, "What's going on?" No lie, I thought it was still in a dream. Like that's how crazy it was. But his mom ended up passing, and that was like my second mom.
mm,
Um and a couple months passed because she passed during COVID. It was COVID related, and at that time you couldn't visit people in the hospital. This was a crazy time, and she was in the hospital, and he was like, "I just don't got a good feeling about this. They not letting nobody see her, and all this stuff." And I'm like, "It's gonna be fine, like it's just." And she ended up passing, and couple months went by and we did a song, and I was just like, new year, like new mentality, like I'm we on to new things. And then he recorded his verse, and it was about like his mom. And that really that's my favorite song to this day. Like, and it's not mixed the best, it's not with the music knowledge that we have now. Like I
Mhm.
said, this was still when we were just like figuring things out, but like it was so real and so authentic. And I just remember that time. And even for him to like be that vulnerable on a song, that was something new for us.
Mhm.
Like, so I think that will forever be my favorite song that we've ever made. Just because of what it meant, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's definitely my favorite song. It's called New Year. It's out everywhere. And yeah, ever since then, it's still people that are like, yeah, this is my favorite song. And I'm like,
Mhm.
for real? You like that one? But yeah, I know what it meant to us, so that's forever my favorite song.
Mhm. My next question was going to be: is there a song that's hard to perform? You think that's probably one of them?
It's crazy. We've never performed that song.
Yes.
we never performed that song. Actually, yeah, we've never performed that song. We were
Is there a
going
song
to.
that's hard to perform, whether the emotional
Mm,
ties or whether the hard to get
yeah,
people engaged or
yeah. I'm not gonna say hard to perform, but it's just like while I'm performing, I start thinking about the situation that I was singing about, and it's like, I don't really want to think about that no more. It's a song called "I Still Care," and it's about a song where like ended a relationship, and we're both trying to play it off like we're over it, but deep down we still care, you know.
Mhm.
And so that one is like, I'm over the situation. It was a while ago, but when I hear a song, it's just like where you were at that time.
That's
So like it just brings back all that stuff. So I'm not gonna say hard to perform because it actually is very fun to perform, but those thoughts just in itself is like, I don't want to think about that
because
no
it
more.
takes you there. Like that. What do you think your generation has normalized?
Mm,
If you could hone in on one thing, what is your generation? What is your generation?
everything, everything,
Everything
everything.
that was never normalized.
Right, exactly. Anything you thought was censored is uncensored now. Like everything's unfiltered. I think the biggest thing to be more specific, I think, is fabrication. I think we're more comfortable with building a world that we have in our head more than real life. And like we're
Mhm.
really good at it. We're really good at it. At
Excellent.
Yeah, like master manipulators. My generation is like, and I it's crazy because I asked my parents like, were y'all like this back then? And they're like, they tell me stories like, okay, I can see the similarities, but like I think social media has just heightened it too. Like
Oh yeah.
it wasn't going past your neighborhood back then. Now it's like this is to the world. Like you're okay with showing yourself like this to the world, and you don't know what's gonna go viral.
Right.
So, and I think that is the second thing I was gonna say, like the clout behind things is like it's like a monster. Like people are doing things with no shame because they know already this is what people are gonna watch.
Hmm.
Like they'll go out their way to do things they wouldn't normally do. Um, that is like the biggest thing for my generation. That is just like I will never understand. Like pride is still a big thing for me, and sometimes there is time where you have to put your pride aside, but like there's also, I wouldn't say pride, I say more dignity. Like
Dignity,
dignity
definitely the
is
word.
is something that has to be brought back into this generation. I don't think there's much dignity in this generation. I think they're more satisfied with a view count than how people perceive them in real life. And at the end of the day, numbers, they aren't real. You can pay for numbers, you know. So it's also just a weird concept in itself of like, I don't know if it's like I was watching the videos. It's more like it's really a scientific thing. Something in the brain with when it comes to like tapping and scrolling and
The
um
dopamine.
dopamine.
Like,
That's literally all it is.
and here's I'm gonna say this. I don't even care how I'm gonna say it. I believe that social media even has the ability to create synthetic dopamine. You know, like there's
Definitely.
drugs that can do that. I am strongly. I just believe that. I believe that it
Yeah.
has that ability. I just
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Even when you like think of like games on your phone. Like games on your
Yeah.
phone, you can't, it's not like a video game where you can press different buttons. You're
Mm-hmm.
either gonna tap or you're gonna swipe. But the goal is to get you to get used to swiping. So
Mm-hmm.
now when you're on social media, that's all you want to do. And then you wonder why like I'm on TikTok 4 hours a day because you're just used to swiping, you know, and I think corporations are good at blending and it goes back to music. It's the same thing. Like you're blending things into things that people enjoy and already are connected to and then
Mm-hmm.
creates habits. Like I was watching a Jay-Z video. He was like, I don't write my rhymes. If I say the same thing 8 times, I'm gonna remember it forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. You do something long enough, you go remember it forever. And now it's a part of who you are. So yeah, I think that that dopamine is definitely my generation is like, yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's good.
but I will also say my generation is probably the start of it. But after, I don't even know what that looks like. But at least we have like some sense of like a time before.
Yeah,
But now it's just like, yeah, the next generation, that's the one I'm really concerned about.
yeah. I don't even. I I'm never lost for words, and I'm down for any conversation. I don't even want to talk about what it's gonna be like with my grandson.
It's
Seriously,
crazy.
yeah. I can't even. I don't even want my mind to imagine what that's gonna. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We was doing so good. I just get so. I'm sorry. I'm gonna give you three. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna give you three more. Let's see. Because I'm gonna do three more. If you could relive one moment, what would it be?
Mm. If I could relive one moment. It's been a lot of good moments in my life. I want to say a very good moment was recently, maybe 2, 3 years ago. My family we threw a surprise party for my grandmother, her 80th birthday, and it was in New Jersey, and it was a lot of family that I spoke about before that I just never met.
Mhm.
So that was always that was a good memory. I would probably relive that again, just seeing like how happy everybody was together. Um, it was just a good time. Like everybody just connected with each other. And my grandma, she's like very, very important in my life. Like I just like my youngest memories involve her. Like the memories as a kid, that's what I remember. Like going to and she was against cooking. No cooking. When you go to grandma's house, you eating out Chinese pizza. So as a kid, you always want to go over there because you know you eating out. You know you know. So I was always like very, very connected with her and just seeing her in that space, happy, dancing, that was like one of the best moments I remember.
That's good. A lot of people don't get the have that experience with grandma. Um,
Yeah.
that's good. Um, the apology I never received was for.
Mm. I'm gonna say it's a constant one. The apology I never received was for being real.
Mm,
For being real. I'm the kind of person where like in any aspect of relationship, whether that's with women or just like on a friend level or anything, like I always believe in like saying how you feel. I think a lot of people, especially my generation, they either hold stuff in or they just move weird without addressing what's really going on.
Mm,
Whether it's like they just won't respond or they just
mm. That's because I need to end and I'm going over. I'm sorry. I was doing so good. And I got I'm always in. I'm gonna end it with that. I'm not gonna take any more questions. So to make an announcement. Thank you guys for your patience. That's because I'm
this
going over
connection
and I'm supposed
today.
to bend that. That's because I'm going over. Sorry. Taking advantage of your time.
But
I
yeah.
just enjoyed this so I enjoyed this era. But you were trying to express about your generation and not really facing things and avoiding
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I think being real is a downfall of me in a lot of cases because people don't really want to face the truth. I've always been the person that like said what's on my mind. Could the delivery be better? Sure. I think that's something that I definitely had to work on through time and understand and consider other people's feelings when you are addressing certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Because my mind is just like I just gotta say it. I gotta say whatever it is. But like
Yeah.
sometimes people don't even hear what you're saying. It's just how you're saying it. Like that's all they're focused on. So having to learn that. But I'm always gonna be real with people. If I see yourself like down in a depression state, you're abusing drugs or you're doing things that just don't seem like you. I'm not that kind of person that's like, oh yeah, man, if that makes you feel better, go ahead and do that. Like I've never been that person. Like, yo, you better than that. Yo, you can do. Let's put that down. Let's go do something else. You know what I'm saying? And I've gotten in real arguments about stuff like that, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
over time, it's like, yeah, you see what I'm talking about now. You was bugging. You was
Mm-hmm.
bugging. And do I always get that apology? No, but do I always look for it? No, I don't. I don't look for stuff like that. I think, like I said, I'm just here for a certain purpose and a certain reason. If I can drop that message in your head, even if you don't get it till 15 years later, you don't.
Right.
He did tell me that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not looking for like validation or like confirmation of like you was right. That's never been me, because I know what I feel and I know what's real. And as long as I feel more bad about not telling you about yourself. Like if
Yeah.
I go home and like, dang, I wish I would have said that. That's the feeling I don't want to have. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So as long as I tell you what it is, then it's like I can live with the results.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that we're in a time where people's ears are more sensitive. I mean, your generation, and so it's easier for people to feel you and to
Yeah.
hear you. And I think because I'm guilty as charged on all counts, presentations hardly ever right, delivery is always wrong, tone is always wrong, 99.9% of the time, especially if it's something serious. You know what I'm saying? Like I need you to get it type thing. It's never right. And I can remember being in this space like, okay, I gotta gift wrap this better because they're not receiving it, or they not
Mhm.
hearing. Then I realized, okay, yeah, I need to work on that, but I also realized that people feel you first. Like I'm gonna step in a room, you're gonna feel my energy before I ever open my mouth. So you're gonna
Yeah.
have some type of idea of me when I walk in your presence. God forbid you did something, you doing something you're not supposed. You know what I'm saying? When it's all that
Right.
energy on
Right.
down, my energy's on 1,000. So by the time I open my mouth, you already cleansed up offensive. You know what I'm saying? Just because the energy hits you first. And so I had to realize that part. I can't be accountable for what you feel. I can only be accountable for what and how I say it. Because
Yep.
you could say it soft and polite and loving, and they still gonna feel you because it's the truth. And
Yeah.
the truth hurts. You know what I'm saying? So I get you on all layers of that. I'm the most guiltiest of all guilts when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And so, but to your point, it's like for me, I'm just trying to plant the seed. At the end of the day, somebody else gonna water, it's gonna grow. You ain't gotta ever come back and say, I get it now, and I understood, I didn't get it, thank you. I don't need none of that. But
Yeah.
I do need to know, I know I gotta say this for April. If you ain't gonna get it, I gotta get it out because my conscience, I don't know how people sleep. Like
Exactly.
exactly. I don't know how people sleep. But I'm like, dang, I should just told that wasn't it. That ain't the right. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm up 3 in the morning trying to figure out why I bite my tongue. It ain't just so
Yep.
that ain't the move. You know.
Yep. It's
So I totally get that. But I thank you for your time, and I'm sorry to go over. I'm just not
all
good at this
good. It's all
time.
good. I ain't got nothing else to do.
Vibing, and I just go 2 hours through. I'm like, my husband be like, "You still on that line?" We just connected, so I do
Here we
apologize.
go.
After a while, it's gonna be just something to say. So she apologized for every line I said, but I do appreciate this interview. I think I thoroughly enjoyed it. I did. I do want you to make any announcements if you have anything coming up in the near future, anything you're working on, anything you want to promote.
Yeah, for the platform, I appreciate you having me here. It's been a great conversation. This is definitely a unique interview. I feel like I've done a couple interviews now, and I never really broke down the layers of my life. So even through talking to this interview, I'm still learning things about myself. So I appreciate that and the platform. You're doing great things. I watched a couple of your interviews now. So just thank you for having this platform, for people to get on. I want to say that first. um as far as me, you can follow me on social media on Instagram, tygo.3, on TikTok, tygoat.3. 216 hours, that is the EP that's out right now. I'm actually, I didn't announce this yet, but I'll do it here. I am working on a deluxe for 216 hours, so that'll be coming out very, very soon. Um, a lot of events that's happening this Saturday, June 27th. We'll be having like a day party for karaoke. $400 prize winner. It's gonna be fun. Downtown Richmond, 318 West Broad Street. So if y'all are free, definitely come out to that. Also have a We the Culture label tape coming out very, very soon this summer. And yeah, be on the lookout for new projects and new things. I plan on dropping the rest of this year. So as ideas come to me and things are put together, you'll see it through time. So just make sure you follow me on social media and you'll see all the updates on that.
Good, and I'm definitely gonna keep promoting and sharing and liking. I make sure not to stop after the interview. I I just make it my business to do that.
Yeah.
It was up. So is it karaoke? Is that weekly?
No. This is just so in the space we're in. My company, we work with the center downtown. That's the event space. So we do 1 to 2 events a month. So we try to switch up our events. These last couple weeks, we've done a couple showcases. We've done some concerts where I actually perform, and we also have local artists around Richmond perform as well, giving new artists an opportunity to perform, showcase their talents, and things like that. So this is our first karaoke event, but every event that we're doing moving forward is going to be different. So this
Okay.
one's karaoke. The next one might be a line dancing event. The next one might
Mm.
be, you just never know, what's going on. I know a lot of different people in a lot of different spaces and networking through different things. So we plan on having like a podcast event. So I'll definitely be contacting you about that stuff,
Okay.
like a live audience thing. We did do one showcase where we had a podcast with like an intermission during the artists, and that
Mhm.
that went really well. It was like an interactive kind of podcast. So yeah, we try to switch it up with the events and just provide something different in Richmond. I think Richmond has a lot of opportunity, and people are looking for something different rather than just the regular clubs,
Oh
and
yeah.
and
Mhm.
we see all the craziness happening in Shackle Bottom and all that mess. So my company, we're trying to provide something different, a safe space for people to enjoy themselves while also providing something different. So that's the space I'm in right now. We're working day in and day out every single day to figure things out and really just provide new spaces for people and new opportunities as well. So you can expect a lot more for We the Culture. We're gonna have a culture day in September. Everybody, kids, bring them out. We're having a field day, all that kind of stuff very, very soon. So I'm actually working on that with the city right now. And it'll be a lot of things to look forward to for the rest of this year.
That's what's up. So with the culture, they can also go to your platform, or do you have a different platform for with the
Yep,
culture?
yep. So we the culture, WTC Entertainment on Instagram and all platforms as well. You can follow the page as well. But most of the things I do, I connect with my page and the culture page. So if you follow me, you'll see the culture page as well. Um, so yep, everything's connected, and yeah, we got a lot of exciting things on the way. And I got to figure out what song I'm singing for karaoke because I have no idea.
Well, keep doing what you're doing and being that light and being consistently positive, right? I know a lot of people start that way and don't end that way because of the pressures
Yeah.
of the industry and so on and so forth. So definitely bless you on everything that you do and put your hands to.
Yes.
Um,
Same here. Thank you.
everything you do and put your hands to. Keep growing, keep being different, keep showing the world that different is cool, right? Keep showing them that being authentic is the right way. And keep showing that creating is important. Like we're all creators in some shape, form, or fashion, right? I
Yeah.
think that is one thing your generation we got to give a shout out to. Y'all
For
definitely
sure. For sure.
poured the creativity aspect out. Y'all poured that rabbit out the hat, and y'all made that thing work for y'all benefit in spite of it. Anything my generation got to say about it? Y'all have definitely made ways out of no ways on the creative side of social media, for sure. So y'all
And this
definitely.
this the last thing I'm gonna say too. You keep
Mhm.
acting like your generation is just so ahead of ours.
I know,
Like you
right?
ain't
I
that. You
know.
ain't. You
I
know
know.
you close. You know you close.
With 5 kids, I just feel like I'm way over there.
But no, once again, thank you so much for the platform. I appreciate all you do as well. I know a lot goes into this stuff and doing things on your own. I understand that aspect as well. And so thank you just for sacrificing your time and your energy into this and creating great and safe spaces for people to open up and, just give their real view on things. I appreciate that as well. So thank you so much.
I appreciate that. And thank you. I'm going to end with my plugs. Anybody look for any real estate investment properties in DC, Maryland, Virginia, Florida, or Georgia, that's Davis Development Group. You can reach out to me. If anybody look for any rental properties, whether it's short term or long term, that's AirDDG. You can reach out to me. If anybody needs any electrical service, whether it's residential or commercial, that's Sendell Systems. You can reach out to me. If anybody needs athletic apparel, my son's been chilling. He just graduated, so he's trying to have a chill time. But he still do what he do, be empowered clothing at B underscore clothing on IG. Miles Davis, you can reach out to him. Those are all business for us and by us. I appreciate your time. Shout out to everybody for being patient, diligent, and supporting us. Peace.